Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another 40 to Level 1. I am one of your hosts, Alistair Kennedy, and here with me, as always, the former Twilight Princess of all games, the current Twilight Princess of YouTube, the Dragon Slayer himself, the Uncharted 3 liar and denier, the man of many names, but we just call him one, Andy.
Mr. Andy Urquhart here, as always. I am the Dragon Slayer, yes. You can call me Go Trick.
We'll get to that, yes. We did have a show last week, didn't we? We did have a show last week. We did
have a show last week. We talked about Elden Ring.
Can you check the audios for this?
I can.
Awesome, because every time I do it, I mess something up. So, like, I hung up on us a couple of weeks ago, and we did a show. It was the most private show, VIP only. Like, it was just all green room. You get 50 minutes of me arguing about something, nothing to do with video games with Andy for 15 minutes, and then we did do a long show that week as well.
Audio is fine.
That is fine, cool. So I've only played one game this week, but there's a reason behind it. I went back to a game because I'm doing it's another review for Xbox Hub, and this isn't embargoed in, so like it's Dawn of Ragnarok. So we'll get into it. I'm playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, right? But I don't want to review Dawn of Ragnarok. I've played chunks of it, right? And here's how I've managed that, because it functions standalone. So you can literally go new game Dawn of Ragnarok, and it basically gives you like a pre-built Ivor. Sorry, well, it's Havi/Odin. Spoilers here for Valhalla, but the game's 2 years old at this point. So like, it gives you that. So I played a good few hours of it, and I was like, do you know what? This is annoying me because none of this will transfer into my main game. Like, it just gives you a pre-populated one. You can't have any of your armour. All the stuff there's just there. Which is fine if that's how you want to play it, and it leads me more to believe that Dawn of Ragnarok's going to get a standalone release like Freedom Cry did, because it's a hefty enough game. 35 hours, Ubisoft are saying. So that's my problem with Ubisoft times, is I don't think it's going to take me 35 hours to complete Dawn of Ragnarok.
Probably not, no.
Because 35 hours is encompassing exploring everywhere, doing every dot on the map, you know, that sort of thing, and that's probably their average kind of time. So I would reckon maybe 15, 20 hours worth. But it's still a hefty DLC. But I want to play it as my own Ivor, so I had to go and load back up Valhalla. This is the main reason I put Valhalla back on, was for the review. So I've managed to get a load of the review jotted down. I mean, you've seen my notes. Like, that wasn't review, that was just Assassin's Creed notes, because I'd played Valhalla, I'd been looking at the Asgard missions. I don't know what they're called. They're like vision quests. Obviously, I've got all the terminology here. Don't worry, folks. I'll look it up before I write my review. But like the vision quests they're my favourite parts of Valhalla. Honestly, I felt the same about the Assassin's Creed 3 ones when Connor done his sort of spirit walks as like the Native American sort of totems or tribal things when you play. That was my favourite part of that game as well, because I wasn't a big fan of 3, apart from crossing the UFC arena as Desmond. That was awesome. But I really love playing as Odin. Like, Loki's there. I love that whole thing. I kind of figured out the twist well before it was too obvious. It's like, there's no way he's not appearing as Havi if he's not like a sage as well, because like, the whole thing is that it makes you think in this game, again, spoilers, don't listen if you're playing Valhalla, but like, it makes out as if your brother's the sage in this entire game, and
he's not.
He is, but he's not the main sage that they're looking for. He's a reincarnation of Tyr, Odin's friend, but because he's not really your brother. Like, your parents get killed when you were young, so like, everybody's up his ass, and he becomes the leader and stuff because of his visions and stuff, but Ivor just doesn't tell people about his visions. And as you play, it turns out that...
Her visions. It was her visions for me.
Well, Odin's a man. Odin is a man. So.
Ivor is not.
Ivor doesn't need to be, no. So, like, that's the funny thing in the game, right? They've come out now and said it's canon that Ivor's the lady, like Cassandra was the lady. That's fine, cool. I put too much in the game to swap back, but at the same time, some of my cutscenes says, what are we going to do about her? And I'm like, I have a beard, I'm a big strapping man. And then, like, I've noticed in the game, more men make advances on you than women. So, like, oh, this is cool, I can reach into, like, your screen almost. So more you get more advances by men. So like constantly, all these guys are flirting with me, and like it's Vikings maybe swing both ways. I don't know, but like I'm like no thanks, no thanks. So yeah, I really enjoyed the game. Right, I don't think it's a bad game. I think the pacing is maybe wrong word. The length of the game's maybe unnecessary. I think.
Oh, 100%, mate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the game would have been a lot better if they took away at least 3 territories in England. At least
Yeah.
3, because each territory has you doing similar things. Like you're going to like a new area to pledge allegiance, or fight them and take over and put a king in place. But more or less the missions are very similar. You go there, you speak to the king, he's fallen out with someone, it's like sort out my problem, you come back, he's like thanks for sorting out my problem, and then you either have to fight him because he betrays you or he's your friend now. Like that's the only options. But the
Yeah.
thing is, it's fine if you're into Vikings, if you like Assassin's Creed, it all plays very well. Like I like the skill tree was quite cool, even though after like level 60 maybe my interest kind of went in it and I just kind of went leave it to the fates, just upgrade me however you feel, because once I'd got the ones that sounded cool, I felt like I'm not really bothered after this, because and I have used the same moves that I had at the start of the game, like the jumping attack, the arrows, the fire thing, and I haven't changed them. Like they've been upgraded through side quests, getting level 2 stuff,
Yeah.
but I'm not that bothered. The thing is, I do want to spend more time in this world, and I have figured out Assassin's Creed's problem, Andy. Like, and it's not just
Right.
present day stuff, but we'll get to that. So like, I'm loving this. Like I've finished the game. Well, I've finished the main story. I've not done. I've got 12 of the order, so I'm working my way through them. Like I'm now at the level where if I see a zealot, he's dead. Like whereas at early stages of the game, you're like, oh shit, where is he? I need to get out
Got
of here.
away, yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
now I'm like, fuck you, oh, you've got a bad knee, son. Pff, on the floor you go. So like, I'm just killing them all over the shop. Like, and the levels become pointless after 100 because I'm now level 289, right? When I was level 250, right? I could take on zealots that were like 380, like level 380, no problem. It wasn't too much because you end up unlocking the shield's pointless as well. So I started using two-handed, right? Because if I block my two-handed axe, it damages them as well. But the reason I don't even need to block is see if you push X or square, X on the Xbox or square on the PlayStation, you dodge. If you time the dodge right, there's a move that slows them down if you get it right. So then you can get like 6 or 7 hits in and practically kill them. So see, if this happened to me earlier in the game, which it can't because it's high up the skill tree, it would have spoiled stuff. But see, because it's came at this point in the game where I'm mopping things up that I want to do, it's really handy when like if a zealot swings at me, if I dodge out the way, he's slow, boom, 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 dead. Like see the last boss fight against the last boss fight in the England campaign was against like Goodwin, the sort of king's assistant that betrayed you. He didn't touch me. Like at first I used to hate pole enemies, but now they're the easiest to dodge because they take such a big swing.
Yeah.
So all I do is dodge, whack, whack. So yeah, the one thing that annoyed me, and it's kind of forcing you to do the order. I was going to do it anyway, just to prove a point to Andy more or less. But like the order is kind of what you've had in Odyssey and in Origins, where it's the hidden ones sort of like wanted list. And I really wanted the last boss fight would have made sense to be the king, and it wasn't. It's like he's the head of the order, so you have to kill all the order. And don't get me wrong, I would say you get almost half of the order just through the campaign. Almost half of it in this one.
Yeah.
Whereas I remember it was either Origins or Odyssey. I hadn't tried looking for them and I'd got none of them. Like maybe I think it was Origins, like I had none of the side ones. It was basically just the 4 bosses that I'd got. Whereas this one, there's side ones that pop up during the campaign as well, But the cool thing is, a lot of these don't just hand them to you. You can find them. Like I found a zealot not a zealot. One of the guys on the board randomly in a village, just straight up killed him. But what it does is it gives you clues. And the next clue will point you to another village. It'll go and beat the chess guy to find out more. Go and beat this to find out more. Go and search in the graveyard here to find out more. And it'll give you another clue. But if you randomly stumble across one of these in the world, that's the cool thing. It's brought it back. So like in the old Assassin's Creed 1, you could plan all your missions. And even Assassin's Creed 2 kind of started doing away with this. And you could take that mission on however you wanted. And if you happened to bump into the guy and you're like, oh shit, shoot, bang, you could kill him there and then. Assassin's Creed 2 had it more in set pieces where it was like, this is the setup for the boss, you now have to fight him in the arena. This game is more similar where there are some bosses that are set where they are, but the sort of guys on the order, yeah, they could just be out doing the farm, and you're like, oh shit, yeah, you're coming up as a target, stab, and then it turns out he was one of the order. I'd done that the other day. Like I said, I was walking by one of the many farms in England, and there was a guy just putting stuff in the hay, and I was using my eagle, Odin sense, eagle vision, and he came up red, and I'm like, okay, and it came up assassinate. I stabbed him, and then it was like confirmed kill. I'm like, hey, hooray! I don't need to search for you. So I've got 12 of those guys to do left. They actually added in a cool quest on the Isle of Skye, where Ranvi and Andy, I remember when he was playing through this, goes, it's so fucking stupid. Ranvi, the Sigurd's wife, looks just like Cassandra. It's so stupid. Well, it turns out that there's more to find out about it, but there is an explanation, because like people were accusing Ranvi of causing havoc on Skye, and you go to Skye and you're even like Ranvi, and she turns around and it's like, who are you? And it's Cassandra, and I haven't finished Odyssey, so that kind of ruined it, that she's immortal, like she's got the staff so she doesn't die. And I'm like, oh great, so yeah, okay, cool. So you do kind of missions with her, you find a treasure on Skye. It's not a very big island.
Well, by the end of Odyssey, she doesn't have the staff anymore.
No, but she's been made immortal.
Well, by the end
you
of
meet her
Odyssey,
in a tuxedo, because I had to.
By the end, yeah, by the end of Odyssey, she's dead though.
In modern day.
Yeah, because she gives the staff to Layla.
No, but
that's why Layla has it in Valhalla.
No, I understand that because I looked that up well before this anyway. But what I mean is the reason she's alive in Valhalla, which is
Valhalla time period.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, that was pretty cool, but it was short because Skye's a small island in real life as well. In fact, I think they portrayed it even bigger than the Isle of Skye is in real life. And then obviously there's the 2 DLCs, and I looked it up when's best to play them, because you know some of these Assassin's Creed DLCs, it's like play at this point in the game or play at this point in the game. Like Vanity Bonfires, I remember, was a deleted memory. That's when Ubisoft started being fly. I remember they took 2 of the memories out, and that was the DLC you had to buy, and it was why it was stupid.
That the Einstein one where you had to fly the glider. Yeah, I hated that mission.
It was so shit as well, but it's like, obviously that was for cutting room floor, and then they thought, oh, folk love this game, let's slap a tenner on it and sell it back to them. We all bought it. It'll be included in the Ezio collection anyway, so you're not going to miss out. But see, for me, I'd long finished Assassin's Creed 2 when it came out, and then I play it and I'm like, why am I back here? I'm like, oh, so what they've done is they've took that mission out or decided it wasn't fit, and then they've sold it back to us, and it's like, but this makes no sense. Surely any DLC should happen after. And thankfully going forward, the rest of the DLCs in Assassin's Creed kind of did come after the game. So the latest DLC, Dun Ragnarok, we'll talk about briefly again, but like again, I'm going to write a whole review on that. I'm kind of almost happy enough with it, because I'm far enough in the kind of storyline of it that replaying it once I get to 340, which should be in a night or two, it'll give me like I've still got 2 weeks to write the thing, because for bigger games you get a bigger deadline, which is nice. So like anyway, the Paris DLC and the France DLC, because I bought the Ultimate Edition of this game, and like I played it the first year, and then I kind of fell away from it, and I haven't touched it in 2 years. So I've got all the DLC, all the updates, all everything, so I can go straight to France. And it turns out France happened after England, and the cool thing is in this game, it doesn't just say, yeah, you've won, you've done everything. It basically, the game tells you, oh, there's plenty more to do in England, there's plenty of mysteries to find, keep going. Because as Andy said, and I remember arguing with him, you can't say you finished it because there's no credits. There's no credits at all in this game. Like, there's a secondary main mission being the Order, and there's the main mission of taking over England. But once you finish England, like you said, you get a small little song, and that's it. You can have a wedding at your house as well with, can't remember who they are, but you can have a wedding there, and then that's practically it if you've done Hampshire, because that comes up.
Oh yeah, I did do the wedding, actually. Yeah. I remember that. So
then like Hampshire's kind of the last area, and it's nothing really. You just go there and kill the guy I talked about earlier. And then it's kind of like, well, life's still moving on. It's not like, even the Ezio games before the sequels were out kind of had a kind of final point where if they didn't do another one. So like, I went to Ireland because a woman came to the village, and it's really cool the way they introduced it. It was all smooth and it flowed, and like it's kind of cool that this is all in my game right now, because it feels complete. It feels like this is where I should go. Whereas if I'd went and got the Island DLC at this point, I'd be like, can I really be bothered going back to the game, you know, that I finished and stuff. So I'm off to Ireland, his cousin's the King of Dublin, and I thought, this is not going to take me that long. So I've done the first mission, kind of had to fight his son because his son was cocky, and then I meet the king, that's his pal, and guess what the king's got, Andy? Guess how I know this is going to be a giant area?
Has he got a boom apple?
Oh, I found the boom apple with Cassandra though, in
Mm.
Sky. That was the artifact. Ivor couldn't pick it up, but she could because she's obviously. I think she's. Issues and Sages. Do you know what? The lore's so complicated. I don't even understand it anymore. But like
She
basically,
can probably pick it up because she's got the staff. Like,
yeah.
she's got the power of the staff running through her, so she can pick up because of that, I would imagine.
So
I would guess he had a did he have a camel?
nah, Andy. What he did have is another map, like you have in your longhouse with
Oh, right, okay.
territories in Ireland that he wants me to take, and I'm like,
Oh,
are you fucking? Is this game fucking with me? And then I had a bigger worry going. France is bigger than this. Like I haven't been to France yet. It's the only area I've not been to, and I'm like, they're gonna have a fucking map there as well. Because
probably,
I'm like, this is gonna be a long time coming. But I think if I do a couple of nights at Ireland, I'll well be at level 340 because basically every mission in this game that you complete gives you 2 skill points, like 2 upgrade points. And to start Dawn of Ragnarok with your current character, you have to be level 340. Like it won't. If you don't do that, it makes you take this sort of talisman that automatically levels you up, but it takes all your weapons and armor away, gives you set armor and gives you their weapons, and when you come back, you brought nothing with you. So to me, it's like I don't want to do that. Because I've got a feeling there's going to be more DLC, and I won't go into that because that's story spoilers for Ragnarok. But I've got a feeling that there's going to be another one of these DLCs this year, like a Vision Quest style one. So, done a bit of Ireland, done a bit of France. Dawn of Ragnarok's so fucking cool. Like, it's almost like the Vision Quest were like a testing ground where you got to fight Fenrir. You done stuff with Loki. You had the guy building the tower that kind of was tricking you. All cool. It's like they've went over it with a whole neon paintbrush of those like sort of Northern Lights green and orange flames to make it look this really Viking-y sort of way, like the Valhalla colours of Assassin's Creed. The whole world, like the god Sutor, this isn't spoilers, this is what happens. Sutor is kind of, he's went rampant. I won't tell you what he's done because that would be spoilers for a game that only came out on Friday. And there's this like molten lava, and the enemies have got this new thing where they can revive each other. You get these cool new powers where you can like walk in lava. You can take the form of them, and there's a power that I don't think you can, but I want to take it back to the main game where you can become the eagle by using one of the god powers, and then you can just push land, and it goes choo, drops down wherever you are. And I'm like, see if I could use that to travel about in England. Like that would be so much better. The amounts of times that I throw that raven up and I'm flying for ages, I'm like, oh, there's where I need to go, and then it zooms me all the way back to Ivor, and I'm like, oh, just let me be there, because the fast travel points are sometimes too generous, but most of the time too far apart. I got to, was it Winchester, Andy, the other night? I was on an Eagle Tower. Sorry, I keep calling them Eagle Towers. They're viewpoints. I was on a viewpoint across the street.
Eagle Tower. It's a fucking Eagle Tower.
Across the street was another viewpoint, and 3 streets down was a third one. They were all within the closest of close proximity of each other, and I'm like, these, I get what Andy said, they're points of interest, but these aren't helpful to anyone.
No.
Like it doesn't matter. There should only be one for this area, because the whole thing was you used to see that entire bit of the map, but now sometimes they cram them in, so it's like, oh, this one sees the cliff and this one sees below. It's like, no, that's not how they work. There's meant to be one per area, and that's it. But if I've got every one of them done in England now, and doing so unlocked a part of the game I was like, what the fuck is this? So I don't know if you did this, but I got to the viewpoint at the very top of the map that, by the way, you don't need to ever go there. There's nothing there apart from this viewpoint, and I think the whole point is because this is where this mission is, and that's how it leads you into this sort of other side story. So I didn't know, apart from his sons, that his sons are, three of his sons are very prominent in the game. You've got Uba, Ragnar Lothbrok, I'm talking about Uba. You've got Ivar, and you've got Halfdan, who's actually Hifsuk from the show. They've got the same name, they're the same person more or less. But hold on a minute. My cat's like it was sometimes they just take mad notions to scratch stuff. So just told them, yes, don't stare at me. So I got to this viewpoint. And it had an icon I hadn't seen before. It was like a luminous like Viking, and it wasn't one of the Yums Viking icons. It was another one. I went up and spoke to him. Guy had one arm, and he told me a story about how he'd lost it in battle, and he was one of Ragnar's trusted allies. And he's like, "Send me to Valhalla." and you went, okay, I'll grant you this wish, and I beat him, and it said one of so many beaten, and it came up with this thing saying, defeat all of Ragnar's Dregnir. No, sorry, send all Ragnar's Dregnir to Valhalla to be with their king, and there'll be a reward. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is awesome. Like, and you could complete the whole game and never see this. You could play hours of this game. Like, I'm 60 hours in and I hadn't seen this. So I killed him, and then I looked it up because I don't find it cheating, like looking up stuff once you've finished the game. And it's like, if you beat them all, you actually get to go to the place of Ragnar's death that was in the sagas and it was in the TV show. And it's like, do you remember it from Vikings? It was the snake pit. They put him in the snake pit and they pushed him in and the snakes bit him to death. You probably don't. Well, you get to go there, and if you jump down and kill the snakes, you can get Ragnar's sword. And I'm like, I need to do that now because swords are very few and far between in this game. Like, you can get swords, you can buy them at the blacksmiths and stuff, but like, most of the time it's daggers or axes that you find or poles. Then it turns out it says, but Ragnar's sword isn't the best sword in the game. I'm like, okay, so what is? And it's like, find all and I'm like, find the what? I've not found one of them. And it's like, you have to find like 60 of these things. And I'm like, oh, the things for the assassins. And it's like, no, there's the 2 things for the assassins, which is kill the order and find the text. Then there's this other thing to find. And if you find them all, you unlock Excalibur, like the swords of...
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
I've seen people get that by glitching it.
Yeah, that's cool to me. And I'm like, the fact that this is... So I'm really enjoying playing in this world. Obviously, my point just now is to steam through, so I'm at the high enough level to play as my Eivor and Dawn of Ragnarok. But the biggest problem with Assassin's Creed that I've discovered because I'm enjoying these missions, it is the present day. The present day they've been working on fixing it, but they don't know what to do with the story. Do you know how much time is in...
So confusing, man.
Because they introduced this cool new female protagonist of Leia in the present day, and I was like, cool, this is awesome. They gave us a whole new area to explore. We've seen Ivor's bones and stuff like that. And then they kill her off. Sorry, spoilers, but at the end of the game, she dies like Desmond died. She'd done her 3 games and she was out. And she meets Desmond, who's now a being of light. Again, I said there was going to be spoilers. He's now called the Reader, and he reads the multiple timelines that's going to happen. That makes sense though, because they're doing the game Assassin's Creed Infinity, which to me is going to be you load in and you can visit different areas. It's going to be kind of like a MMO, almost like Elder Scrolls Online, but you can go to different areas and different events might happen, and it's all because of these branching timelines. And it means that they can play about with history again, you know, like sometimes they like doing it so much with the Vision Quests and stuff. Well, it's not playing with history. The Vikings did say they seen Odin and spoke with him and stuff, so it's really...
But there wasn't really a giant fuck-off, big, massive wolf.
No, but they drink potions full of magic mushrooms, so I'm pretty sure you might see something like that if that was your beliefs and you were going to visit them. So,
fair.
I get why they're representing it that way, but the problem isn't the modern day. They've created themselves another problem, because the current modern day protagonist is actually a bad guy.
Yeah, I didn't like that twist. Didn't like that.
Because I thought, oh, he's good, he's spent time with Desmond, but then he comes out the Animus and he's looking at them like, go and get me William Miles. And they're like, oh, we can phone him. He's like, no, face to face. And then they go and he's like, don't worry, it's in safe hands. And the minute they're away, he touches the Animus and he's like, now, through the bleeding effect, I will take all of Ivor's powers. And it's like, you're like a fucking... I hope William Miles comes and like slams you in the sunbed like fucking Big Chris from Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. Or Joe. But like, I don't like the way they kill him off. And then I see the talks, the rumours, this part of the news for this week, that we'll talk about it later if you want, but they're doing a standalone game, because obviously Infinity's a big project for them. They've got both teams, because what they were doing was a team each year, a bit like Call of Duty was making Assassin's Creed. Both teams are working Infinity. And the story from all the Assassin's Creed guys that I'm now back watching again, they're saying that this game's coming. It's called, is it Rift? Assassin's Creed Rift, and it's starring Basim in Baghdad, and it's a prequel, because I looked it up, and obviously I know the story now. It's a prequel to Valhalla, because obviously he had a full life. He was oldish when he was in Valhalla anyway. He'd lived an assassin's life or hidden one's life anyway. And obviously he's at the age where he could have fathered or been a grandfather to Altair, because it's close timeline wise. There's maybe a few years after. It's just because he looks similar to him. He looks very similar to him, Altair and Desmond and that sort of family tree, because there's a lot of gaps in Desmond's family tree. But anyway, the game's great, but a game that is 300 hours. They said 300 hours to do everything first time round. That means like never failing, never desyncing. To be fair, it's kind of hard these days to die in Assassin's Creed, in my mind. Like, I don't find them that challenging unless you fuck up and like you end up running into like 10 enemies and you get one guy with a big club and you just can't move, or you jump off a mountain, like mistakes. But
or if you end up in an area that you're like way under leveled for you.
Like the wolf killed me the first time, Fenrir, because it said level 90 for the quest and I was level 160, but then you fight the wolf, it's like level 280 and it's like, well, fuck. So he killed me, but it wasn't difficult to get him down. It gated me at that point, like you're not high enough, because it got his health down to about a quarter, and I know you're going to talk about health bars later, but like it got me down to a quarter and then it started going down very slow, and I'm like, this game doesn't want me to beat him here. It really doesn't, because when I went back later on, it was really simple. It was 3 stages bind him. It let me get 2 stages of binding, but what it was holding back was that 3rd stage of binding, because it's like, you're too low level. But the problem is, the mission on your quest menu said level 90, so it shouldn't have let me do it. Basically, it shouldn't show you any levels. And do you know what it should do? The old Animus trick of blocking areas, because that's what the old games used to do. This area's not available yet. Who cares? Your game's going to be open world eventually. Like, but if you don't want players going in a level, instead of letting them get all the way in and then killing the fuck out of them and sending them miles back, which does happen, then just block it. It used to say can't go to this area. There are some areas in this game where it does do that, like, and it's like an Animus thing, but you have to search really hard for them. So aside from that, I really have enjoyed the game. I know I've just spoken about half an hour about a two-year-old game, but I haven't addressed what the biggest problem with Assassin's Creed is yet. And everyone's like, come on, Ali, tell us, we're dying to know. What would you say it is outside of, because you're as big a fan as me, and what would you say is the, apart from the modern day?
Like, I mean, there's just too much of the same shit in the game, honestly. Like, even in the modern day stuff, there's not enough of it, I don't think. They don't, like, what they put in is very convoluted at this point. And there's not enough of it. Yep. But the biggest problem is definitely like the overblow of the content that's in the historical part that is all the fucking same. Like, because when you start the game fresh, like, it feels new, it feels fresh. You're like, oh, cool, this is great.
Halfway through.
But after about 20, 25, maybe even 30, 35 hours, you're like, you've done the same thing like 5, 6 times easily. Like, and I'm not talking about like you've killed like a bear. Like, you've done the same sort of quest line over and over and over again.
Yeah, I agree with you, but see, like, before Syndicate, Assassin's Creed 4 was the last one where it was a perfect length. It was 30, 40 hours, you were done. So you didn't notice it that much. Do you know what I mean? Like, but because they've doubled that play length, just to go, look how big the game is. It's bigger than The Witcher by so many kilometres. It's like, yeah, but... So that is a big problem, but that isn't what I've realised my biggest problem, or one of the biggest problems as well, that I haven't thought about before is, so Ezio worked for a reason, right? We were with that character from his birth to his death. Half of these Assassin's Creed protagonists are now one and done, and they're never even spoken about again. Like, I don't expect the next game to even reference the Viking, or, well, reference Ivor. Like, I know Cassandra showed up in later on DLC in this, but it still didn't end her story. Like, what these games need to do, and a lot of folk were complaining after Origins that it wasn't a sequel with Bayek, and I agree, Bayek should have had a sequel. He was a strong enough character and there was more to it. Yeah. Stick with the fucking characters. Like, people praise the Ezio games. Like, Assassin's Creed is now a game that it's a 70 to 80% game. That's what it gets rated at every time. It's never really hit 90s because it's been the same shit recycled. And people like me and you stick to it because we've been there for 11 games now.
Yeah.
Like,
we're invested. Like, we're going to keep playing.
Yeah, we're going to keep going. Like, even if I don't play the game, everybody that listens to the show or Andy knows, I will buy it day one and I will play it and it will be the best thing since sliced bread, and then 4 days later I'm like, I don't want to play this anymore. But like, Valhalla has been great to go back to, and like, Assassin's Creed never used to be like that for me. I remember my favourite one was Assassin's Creed 3, just waiting up, because it was during the era of the Vita. It was PS3 Slim. Me and Andy walked out at midnight. This was well before digital was well adopted by me, and like, we came home and we took turns, and Andy played Assassin's Creed 3 and I played Liberation, and like, we took turns, and it was so good playing that. And like, then it's just been delayed because not one game Freedom Cry doesn't count. Not one game after, what's the last one called? Revelations, Assassin's Creed Revelations, has shared the protagonist. Like, what? Why just dispose of them when you've made me invest in this? I'm going to easily spend 100. I won't take 114 hours to finish it, but I'm easily going to spend 100 hours with Ivor. I'm like, I want to do another game because you're clearly not going to kill him off. So, see my next game when it's like in ancient China or something like that. Like, why? You might do a wee cheeky note or a computer file about the Vikings. Like, why not just make it about Ivor? Like, you did it with Ezio. You just moved them to another city. Like, put me in Greenland and Iceland this time. And let me go let me go back to America again. And then, like, seeing the third one with Ivor, not that they're going to do it. The third one, what they should do is just put him somewhere else. Put him, like, in the Middle East, like Bjorn and Vikings when he went on his, like, quest across Europe. Just do that. And people will get to love the character and it'll be a full, complete story. Whereas you've gave us a brilliant modern day protagonist for 3 games and then you kill her off, right? So we've lost Layla, sorry. And every game it's like, oh yeah, learn this new guy and we want you to love him. And it's like, yeah, at some point it's like, I do like the character Ivor, I really do now. I know you didn't, and a lot of folk found him boring, or her, sorry, but I think it's fine. Like, it really suits what I wanted from the Viking after watching the TV show.
I think the disappointment for me was because Cassandra was really cool. Like, I like Cassandra a lot, and even though like that game was very long and boring in parts and very grindy, not assassiny at all. Like, I was okay with playing that amount of time because Cassandra was a good character. And she had a lot of quips and good lines and good delivery in that in it. I never got that from Ivor, like, at all.
No, that's fair. That's fair. You're not going to love every Assassin's Creed protagonist. Like,
no.
For me, the strongest one was Edward Kenway. I don't care what people say about Ezio. Edward Kenway was incredible. But again, you had to read a book to get his ending. Like, Ubisoft, why couldn't you have just brought out a third game? Because you already had Rogue, which was an improvement on some of the mechanics in Black Flag. It was a nice game, and it was a cool twist. You played as a Templar. Now you don't even want us fighting Templars. The National Templar Association complain about your treatment of Templars. Like, come on. So, like, now I'm not even sure who the bad guys are. I'm just accepting it, and it's
I have no idea.
It's history.
I have no idea who the bad guys are.
No, neither do I. So, like, I hadn't thought about it that way, and I don't know if you agree, but do you agree that that's one of the big issues, if not the biggest issue, is I can't bond with Assassin's Creed anymore because every game it's like a new throwaway puppet, basically, and by the end of that game I'm never going to see them again. Like,
yeah,
it's hard to care for them.
I think to a certain extent, yeah. I think that they fucked up with the modern day protagonist because they didn't give them enough screen time. Like, Desmond has more screen time in the first few hours of Assassin's Creed 1 than Layla has in all 3 games. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And like the parts you're playing as her, like, and you've got the bleeding effect stuff on, are cool.
And I was reading up about that.
Fun.
And it's like, I don't know if we said it on the show, but we're definitely speaking about it. It's because the guy that created Assassin's Creed, who's no longer with the company, wanted 3 to be the final one. And he was writing it, and this is what me and you guessed, this is what me and you assumed back then, that we were going to get a game set in the modern day Assassin's Creed, and it was going to be Desmond with all the powers. That was the plan. But Ubisoft done what Lost did to J.J. Abrams and went, no, you're making 6 seasons at least, and he went, I only have story for 3. Like, so that's what's happened here. And then all the creative team left, and Ubisoft went, right, we've got this high selling franchise, the fans don't care that that's happened, what are we going to do with the story? And they've hired some historian guys that went, let's make history fun. What about the modern day? Yeah, we'll have it at the start and end. How long for? 5 minutes? That's what's happened. And that's pretty much it. So, like, it's a shame, and I hope they bring it back round, but see the fact that they've said, obviously there's going to be a delay, and I do think we are going to get this side game with Basim. I think that makes sense to me. Like, getting more of him makes sense. If they drop him and just bring out this Infinity, which seems to be a game as a service, it's like, what the fuck were you doing? Are you just going to... that story doesn't happen. Because what I found out as well, I haven't read the comics for a while. Juno, remember Juno, who just disappeared from the game? She showed up last in... I think it was Unity, you spoke to Juno. She got killed off in the comic. So the comic is canon, right? Okay. Which is cool that the comic's canon. And a bunch of assassins broke into Abstergo Labs and they were trying to clone an Isu, and they made it, and Juno came alive. There was no build up to it. I read it the other night. The assassins just walked in, stab, she was dead, and that was the end of Juno. Basically, that's what they said. That's Juno gone. This mysterious god that's lived within computer systems, stones, fucking crystals, and then she gets reincarnated in a human body, and because the assassins stab her, she's now dead forever. And that's the way that they...
So, but that sounds cool and fun to me. Why the fuck can't I do that in the game?
Yeah, why can't I play it? There's also this whole thing that people don't know.
You've got these cool stories, put them in the game.
There's also this cool story that people don't know, that Desmond had a son. It's in canon, and it is briefly mentioned in documents in the game. His son's a sage. Like, he's got these cool powers, and the Templars are after him now, and that's where the Templar Assassin's Creed story's going. The comics are still coming out, so why aren't we getting that fucking story? Because even though Leia's cool, really looking at the story of Valhalla, we got them shown up at a hut. She was Ivor, then she went to a cave and plugged into an animus. That was the story. There was no Templars, nothing like that, nobody chasing you. Like, I think even in Origins you had to kill folk.
There was kind of some meteors or something in the
It's because the sky was the Northern Lights.
The world thing.
No, it wasn't. It was just the Northern Lights, because I looked that up because I was confused. Like, what's happening? It was the Northern Lights.
I thought it was meteors or something.
It looks like that. It's not. It's it's the Northern Lights, where it can look like you can see shooting stars there and stuff. Because I thought, whoa, this is post-apocalyptic. No, it just says it's because it's the Northern Lights. Anyway, that's what I mean. Like, these comics have got the cool. Like, here's what to do, Ubisoft, right? Make the next game Ivor. Like, if the next sort of smaller game is, well, they're claiming it's a smaller game. What I think they mean is it's normal sized Assassin's Creed rather than big 100-hour world. Sounds perfect to me. And the other rumour is it's going. This is from leaks from whoever goes in the company. And these guys told me about Black Flag before it came out, so these are the guys I trust. And they said it's going back to stealth gameplay. And I'm like, this is what we want. Like, I haven't felt the need to stealth really, unless it was just easier to get out of a door to stab someone like that as Ivor.
Yeah.
And he's a Viking, so I get it. But I didn't even have hidden blades in fucking the other two games, did I? Oh, I did in Greece. I didn't in Origins.
Definitely was a blade.
There was in
some
Greece.
kind.
So in Origins, what it is after the game's story. I haven't played the DLC. It's called the first blade or something like that, and you get the first.
Oh yeah.
And after you do that, it gets passed down to Cassandra because she comments on Ivor's when you fight her. But like, what they need to do anyway? Bring it back to that. Like. And like, I love the fact that the trailers for this game, the sort of previews, were like, we're bringing back social stealth, and it had you walking with the haven't done it once, haven't finished the game, did not do it once. I've seen the option one time to do that, and it was a group of ministers walking in a crowd, because no games you used to have to blend to walk through cities, and you just used to.
It used to happen all the time.
Yep, and like they promised that was coming back. Nope, they've threw in a couple of benches that you can sit at, and that's it. So, yes, bring this back, right? Stay with that. I'm fine if you're going to do something cool with Basim, whatever it is. That's cool, right? You're playing as a bad guy. It reminds me of Assassin's Creed Rogue. So, do that, but see these guys that you're paying to write these comics, right? Comic writers aren't paid well. Give them some more money and get them to write the story for your game, because they know what's going on. Like, they've got great stories in the comics going on with a set of assassins that are looking after Desmond's son. That's the sort of shit that we want to see in the games. Like Andy said, I want to kill Juno. Like, why do I have to read about it? Like, but then there's also the book. I don't want to read about, oh, now at the end of Black Flag you're an assassin for the last mission is Edward. Okay, I'll forgive you because it's a cool character, great voice actor. And it's like, so what did he do for the rest of his life? Oh, he went to London, the end. It's like, then you read the book. He ran an entire assassin's fucking brotherhood out of his house in London before he was assassinated in the middle of the night because he was protecting his children. Let me play that. I want to set up the brotherhood in London. You've got London in your fucking assets. Just bring it back out the Syndicate's cupboard, cut off half the areas, make it a bit older, take away all the Steam stuff, and throw in fucking Edward Kenway. The end. We've seen his house. You've already got his house. It was in Syndicate.
Yeah, let us play as an actual assassin as well.
Because we haven't played as an assassin since Unity. Unity was the last time we played as Arno as the assassins.
Yeah.
Because then we got Syndicate was after that. We were assassins in Syndicate. Yeah,
Syndicate was the last one then. Yeah.
Syndicate, because we weren't really full assassins either. Like
They were assassins. No,
you,
they were definitely assassins.
they were more like Desmond. They ran away from the assassins at the start of that game. They ran away from their farm like Desmond did. They did assassin stuff. They'd been trained as assassins, but the guy wanted to run a street gang, and she wanted to find out more about London's mysteries. They weren't. They were working with the assassins more. That was the start of it moving away. Was they weren't really, and then you get on to like the rest of the game. We haven't played as an assassin for ages. Like Ivor,
Nope.
Ivor worked with them, but for
Yep.
most of the game it was his brother. Cassandra wasn't.
Was a mercenary completely.
She wasn't
not
an assassin.
whatsoever.
The only assassins thing is you meet them and you don't even need to do anything. They just like, oh, do you want to fight the order? And you might. If you don't need to interact with them practically for the whole game. And then in Origins, it makes sense in Origins because that was setting up the hidden ones. That was before it existed. And at the end, you kind of shake hands with what's her name? I can't remember. And you kind of make the Brotherhood. She goes to set up somewhere new stay in Egypt, and it's like. Great, but yeah, make us start the game like Ezio, a new assassin. Like, see if this is a See, do you know what would be cool in Rift? This is my hopes for it, Andy. It said prequel. Let us play as like a teenager, getting signed up for the assassins. Like that. Let me play the first few missions copy Ezio. The first few missions, you're nobody. You're just wearing rags and stuff, running about the streets. Maybe stealing stuff and running away and having to blend in and things like that. And then the assassins cotton on to you, sort of thing, and they invite you into the Brotherhood or the hidden ones at that point. Sorry, do that. Even that is preferable to going. Yeah, you're just a Viking. Is there assassins? Yeah, but if you don't build their hut, they won't show up in the game.
And they're also called the hidden ones, and they're not called assassins.
Yeah.
So why is the game called Assassin's Creed? Why is it not called Hidden Ones Creed?
It should have just been called Vikings Valhalla. Obviously that trademark was taken back
then.
Yeah. But no, anyway, it's a decent enough game. It's just all the DLC is fine. Like, I'm liking the DLC. I know Andy's not the biggest fan of Assassin's Creed DLC, but all the DLC so far is fine for me because I'm playing it as I've just finished the main game. I bought it anyway, but if I'd finished this, would I went back and played it? I don't think I would have. Dawn of Ragnarok's an exception. That would have probably got me into it anyway if I'd played it because I really like those sections. But all in, the game needed to lose at least half of the territories, like 4 or 5. Well, there's 15 territories in it. So give us 7 or 8 territories. See, at the 40-hour point, that should have been the last boss. You could have still had the order and all the side quests and stuff, but see, 40 hours in, that should have been it. And it would have been fine, but they just kind of padded it out way too much. And England feels huge in it just for the sake of being huge sometimes, like a lot of these open world games. Look how big it is. It's like, yeah, but I'm doing fucking nothing here. So yeah, I am hopeful we're going to get Assassin's Creed Rift, and it's good that this game, I enjoyed it more than Odyssey, which I am going to have to go and finish because I'd put a good amount of time into it. It just, Odyssey did something really bad that Valhalla never did. Like, it went, yeah, you need all this money. I've said it so many times in the show. You get to like the kingdom of the women, and they're just all women. And she's like, "Pay me, and I'll help you." And it's like, this is my main quest to progress. What do you mean pay you? I've got like 60 quid. No, I want 6,000. It's like, what? It took me like most of my 20 hours to get to this point. So you've got 2 options. You can either grind, as Andy's told me, for quite a few hours, or you can go in the fucking Ubisoft store, which they're hoping you do, and spend like 20 quid to unlock the second half of the game. That sucks that they did that. Like, I don't mind paying someone, but see when it's like an astronomical amount that you've not accumulated at that point in the game and had no notion, because the other thing that I miss in the Assassin's Creed games that they've done away from Ezio, remember, even though you're building the village in Ravensthorpe, I didn't feel attached to it. See, when I was building like Montenegrone, it was like, oh, there's my shop, I'll go and like upgrade that and I'll be able to get better weapons. I haven't used a shop once in Valhalla. I've sold my trinkets a couple of times, but I haven't bought anything. It's like they've done away the need for the shops and stuff like that. It's just more, yeah, but let's add a couple more fields. No, bring it back
just
small.
More side quests, some of the stuff. Like, there's the one you build it and it's like, oh, like, I can get the special trinkets if you bring me these special stones that you find out in the world.
Like, the museum's the same. It's like, bring me the Roman artifacts. It's like, why? Oh, I'll give you some. It's like, no. So
I think I did one of those and I had to bring back a tiny statue to him.
To me, that's crap because their stock hasn't changed since the start of the game. Like, why is the woman in my village trying to sell me like a level 2 sword? I'm carrying I'm caring
Yeah.
about a fucking axe that's half ice and half in fire, and you want me to buy this wooden sword that Link wouldn't even use? Come on. So like the good thing with Assassin's Creed, like Ezio's, and even up to, I would even argue up to Assassin's Creed 4. Like when you built
Yeah, Black as
Nassau,
well, yeah. Down, yeah.
you upgraded and you
Cool.
got better equipment, better gear. Like you could dye your clothes and stuff like that. In this, it's just armor sets. It doesn't make a fucking difference. Just put the strongest one on.
You can put tattoos on yourself. So that's
Yeah, but
kinda
you've
cool.
got your armor on. You don't see
I
if
know.
you've got full armor on. It's stupid. There's about 100 tattoo selections. It's like, no. Bring it back down. Bring it smaller scale. Give me 4 shops. I want like a clothes shop, item shop, weapon shop, and I don't know, fucking... Just give me 3. 3's fine. And let me upgrade them. Let that be my village. Give them like 4 tiers upgrades.
Just give me, you know what? Just give me one shop.
Yeah, one shop that does it all. Yeah, like give me
Does it
Spa.
all, yeah. Give me Spa, yeah. Spa's fine.
Yeah, Origins of Spire, Assassin's Creed Spa. But you know what I mean? Like, give me something like that. Give me like a market. That would be perfect if it's Baghdad. Give me a marketplace at my home base and let me build the marketplace. Do that. One's maybe push something like that, because make me care about the world rather than make it big. Like, and smaller, more refined, always gives a better story. So I've got a feeling and a hope that Assassin's Creed Rift, if it comes out this year, Andy, could be the best Assassin's Creed game we've played in years. I genuinely do. And I don't class Origins, Odyssey and Valhalla as classic Assassin's Creed, because they're RPGs now. They're not action games. Whereas this sounds like more of a return to what it used to be. Well, I hope it is. I might be wrong. It might just play exactly like these 3, so we'll need to wait and see. But, like I said, as you can probably tell, I've spoke 45 minutes on a 2-year-old game, but I've covered a lot of ground with it. I've covered a lot of ground in-game, pun fully intended. And
It's a very long game.
It's a long game. I haven't hated it, though. It's just, there was certain parts in Greece where I was like... Don't get me wrong, Cassandra was cool and I liked her and Alexis, or Alexios, whatever his name is, relationship stuff, but there was certain parts in Greece I'm like, come on, no interest, because I'm not bothered. The Vikings stories entwined enough with the Assassins that I'm aware. Greece kind of just went, yeah, do it if you want. And then that was it. There was nothing. You didn't even have to touch it. Like, you fought the bosses and moved on, but there was no assassins coming up to you and speaking to you and stuff. Seeing this, you constantly go home and say, I better go and speak to Basim. And you go and speak to him and he's like, very good, my friend. Here's some more order things unlocked. And then sometimes they'll give you abilities and it's worthwhile doing, and they're in your village, they live with you. See, in Greece, once you've met them, it's like, bye Felicia, I've never fucking seen you again. That was my big problem with it. It really wasn't Assassin's Creed at all. And like, Valhalla feels just Assassin's Creed enough that it's passable. Again, it's the hidden ones. But anyway, I don't know. Like, I could recommend it because my cousin just picked it up. And for just now, I know it sounds pricey, but see, for 70 quid, that's the PS4, PS5 version and every DLC. Like, you get the base game, you get the Wrath of the Druids, which is Ireland, you get the Siege of Paris, which is France, you get the Dawn of Ragnarok. Now, Dawn of Ragnarok itself sells for £32.99, so that's £33. This whole bundle on PlayStation just now is 70 quid. For it all, for every bit of it.
Seems a bit steep for that.
It's not. No, Andy, this isn't just. This is practically its own game. Like, it's bigger than Freedom Cry. Much bigger. Like, it's not the
£2 for a DLC. Like, that's mad.
But it's practically its own game. Like, I paid £120 for the Ultimate Edition, Andy, of Assassin's Creed Valhalla as it was. I was all in anyway. But £32.99 I think is reasonable, because you could get £1 an hour's worth of gameplay like that. Plus, it's not the Vision Quest we played as before. You were in Asgard in the throne room and you had a couple islands, that was it. This is an entire continent. This is a whole new area. Svartslime or something like that. Svartalheim, I can't pronounce it.
Right.
But it's the land of the dwarfs. The only dwarf you seen there was the guy that you kept prisoner to make your weapons. He makes the rope for you for Fenrir. Well, this is the land of the dwarfs, and like, it's a whole new area in Odin's world or Havi's world. It's completely different. So I can see the value in it 100%.
Do you know my issue with that whole bit of the game was, like, I was coming off the back of God of War for like a year or whatever it was before it, and
it was more of the same.
God of War's an incredible game, and Assassin's Creed did it shit. Like that whole mythology stuff. Didn't like it.
I thought it was great. I absolutely loved it. The big wolf was cool, and like it
Wolf
was
was
just the
cool.
fact that when like Loki pumped the wolf, it's like he's my son, and I'm like, what? So that was the origins of the word doggy style. So like, yeah, like he is a son. I really enjoyed it. The twists were kind of too obvious. It's like, okay, so I'm Odin, so I'm related to Odin. That's the whole point of me being in the game. And then as it got unveiled, it's like, yeah, you're a Sage too, and you're more important because you're from Odin. Cool, seen it. Yeah, next. Oh, but seems a bad guy. Goes, yeah, he was Loki. Next. Um, so yeah, I did really enjoy those parts. Whereas this one's like, even if you watch a video of it, there's like new powers and things like that that make it completely different. So anyway, I'm done with talking with Ragnarok. The only game that I did play for 2 minutes to show Andy my stats because he was annoyed was Elden Ring. I didn't do anything. I literally loaded it up, walked about for a bit, and then turned my PlayStation off. And then as I turned it off, Andy went stats, and I went, "What the fuck do you mean, Captain Picard?" And you're like, "What are your stats?" I'm like, "All right, go and get my PlayStation, plug it back in, pause me. There you go. There's my stats." I didn't do anything progress wise. I just walked about for a bit and went, "I'm not in the mood to play this because I need to finish Assassin's Creed." Can't.
So where are you in the game just now? After you've beaten you beat Margit, right? So where have you got to after that?
I went up to the bit with the jellyfish, and then I went
Okay.
underground for a wee bit and didn't want to do that. And then I came back up and I'm like, I don't. So the game, I don't like it. It hasn't sunk in with me. I beat Margit. Andy even said the words, "You're a Elden Scroll. You're a Soulsborne god or something. What the fuck?" Because
Yeah.
I didn't realize how hard this boss was, and I'm not just saying this. I'm not saying I'm a elite gamer. I fought him 5 times and then beat him, or beat him on the fifth time, whatever. I was level 18. It's only the last week when I'm seeing folk going, "Oh, I finally beat Margit," and I'm like, I thought I was behind, taking a few days, and like you were struggling with them. Your folk at work were struggling and telling you had to be level 35. I'm like, I did it level 18, and like it was hard, but I beat him, so I never thought too much of it. And I'm not saying it's because the game's not difficult. I definitely think it's easier than the Souls games because I've played more of them. I just don't like the Souls games. I think I've spent more time with them over the last 2 years than ever, and I don't like it. I can see why somebody that likes the Souls games like yourself or people that play them like Davis would love this as well. Like you're saying,
Well, I liked Bloodborne.
well, you know what I mean. You've played a game that you liked in this series. I haven't. So
Yeah.
like,
Okay. Yeah.
you know, like so the people that like these games will play this and go, "Oh my god!" And like, see when I first played it, I was quite impressed. I was like, "Oh, this is kind of cool." It feels like a lived in world, blah blah. And then I played more of it, and my mate Falkirk's playing it as well. He's like level 100 at this point. Andy's like, we'll talk about what level you are in a bit, but like, for me, I was like, yeah, I'm grinding. I'm level 22, and it's, I don't. I'm not saying I'm good at it, but I just didn't find it hard. I just find the fighting boring. Like, I want to run in and slash. You can't do that. You just have to wait if you want to win, and it's like, stab, stop,
You don't have to do
dodge.
that.
More or less you do, unless you go magic and spam it. But at the start, you kind of have to play it like that, regardless, because you've got such low stats. Anyway, I don't know what it is. If it's the world, I don't know. It looks nice enough. Like it hasn't taken to me. I haven't taken to it. I'm not saying I'm giving up. I'm going to give it another shot this weekend because usually I take my PlayStation out on a Friday and play it Friday, Saturday night. But it hasn't sunk in with me at all. Like at the moment in time, I've enjoyed Valhalla more than that. It was enjoyable to play. There's a supreme lack of story in Elden Ring for me. Like the ring breaks, go and find it. Is that it? Pretty much. Santos will speak to you now and then. That's it.
Fine. There is stories in there, but they're like very small, contained stories
Exactly.
that are very. They're also very, very vague.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Those are very vague.
For me, I'm not saying it's a bad game. Like I'm not going to argue with anyone saying it's game of the year this year, which this guy guaranteed will. But for me, it's like I just don't. That's me saying it now in March. So come back here in January next year for our first show, and I'll be right. But see, for me, it's like, yeah, I get it. It's fine. I find it easier than the Souls games. I could play this, but the interest's not there. Every time, like you're saying, that I get a snippet of a story, it's like, that's it, done. Like when the Santa told me to go and find the guy that was howling in the woods, and I went and spoke to him, and he's like, go and kill this, and I done that, and then he's like, thanks. It's like, is that your story done? Like, why are you hanging about in a church? Like, why are you up there howling? Like when somebody walks through the forest, why don't you just come down and speak to people if you're normal and not just some sort of fucking weirdo? Oh, you're not going to speak to me ever again because you're back up. Cool, I'll move on. Then there's another wee guy, and he's like, can you go and speak to my grandpa or somebody in a hut?
Yeah, I'll be back in one.
Okay. And then I go and speak to grandpa in the hut, and it's like, thanks. That's it. So I know there'll be a lot of people watching this disagreeing with me, and I get it, but I don't like Souls games, keep that in mind. I've got them all. I own every Souls game. I've got Bloodborne on PlayStation. I don't have Sekiro. I've never tried Sekiro or whatever it's called. But I've got the Dark Souls 1, 2 and 3 on Xbox, and I've got Elden Ring and Demon Souls on PS5, but I prefer Demon Souls to this. I don't know why. A lot of folk are probably just falling off their seats and rage just now, but I get it, it's open world. It's not enough for me. I've played other open world games, like open world wearing thin on me at the moment. So I didn't play too much of Elden Ring at all. I see everybody talking about it. I just kind of moved about a bit, and like I said, helped Andy with stats and gave him a top tip on leveling up that he was needing. But it's not something. It's a good game. It's not a good game for me. Like I said, when I was playing through Assassin's Creed Valhalla all those hours, I was like, I'm still pretty much enjoying this game, even though there's too much of it. But I'm giving Elden Ring like another shot at the weekend. I've been told that you can respec once you beat a boss, and I might go and respec from Sword and Shield and do magic instead, and play that and see how that is. And if I don't like it, then I think I'm pretty much done with it, to be honest with you. So let's have a wee look at the news while Andy is away. Or is he coming back? He's back. He's back anyway. Don't worry. So yeah, you're back. For me, it can't be Game of the Year if Starfield is probably going to be my Game of the Year this year, I reckon, which is going to be, I can't hear you.
If it comes out.
Oh, Starfield is coming out this year. The one that I doubt coming out this year is coming out. We'll see again when it comes out on its release date. So Breath of the Wild 2, I don't think that game's coming out this year at all. Even though they've said it's still coming this year. Breath of the Wild 2 is the only one that could top Starfield this year, I think, for me.
You know what they'll have done with Breath of the Wild? The guys that are making that game, right? They'll be like,
back. Yes, we're back. Apologies. It happens all the time. It's not our internet. It's a Discord thing.
Because I criticised Zelda.
Well, what was it you were criticising? Do you think they'll be almost done and then they'll see Elden Ring, they'll like make it harder, make the enemies reappear?
This is basically exactly what I said.
Well, Zelda already did that.
They'll have played Elden Ring and went, oh no, this game is better than Zelda. We need to redo this game. Shit.
It's not better than Zelda. I'll tell you something. I enjoyed Horizon Zero Dawn more than I enjoyed Zelda, and I really didn't like. More than I enjoyed Elden Ring, and I really didn't like Horizon Zero Dawn that much. It was a very medium game for me. It's a 50% game. What's
wrong with you? Oh my god,
you hate
everything.
Do you know what all they've done? It's Dark Souls. Oh, they've added jump. That's it. It's Dark Souls with a jump button. So it's not for me.
And a horse and fast travel and
not bothered by that. You can fast travel in other games as well.
Just everything. Everything in this game's fucking amazing.
Yeah, I'm so glad you like it. But see, for me,
stories like in there.
There's no story.
But it's not what you're playing the game for. It's not what I played Bloodborne for.
Well, I think we're back. We might not be back. Can you see in YouTube if we're back? I think we're back.
I mean, it's just it said we're live the whole time. Like for me on the feed. So
yeah, I think when it connects quick, it just
doesn't technically drop off. But yeah, anyway, Elden Ring's fucking incredible, mate. Like I can't believe you're like dissing the game like this.
No, I never dissed it. I said I understand why it'd be Game of the Year. I said I understand why people think it's a good game. I said for me, I'm not enjoying it. I preferred Demon Souls more. I really did. The PS5 one.
Like, I'm now like 28 hours into the game, something like that. I have beaten Margit now. I had not beaten Margit last week. It took me a lot of tries to beat Margit. 120 there or thereabouts.
I don't think it was as many as that, was it?
No, I'm not fucking joking. Like, I mean, look how many times I posted fractions to you, and that was like
True.
that was after I'd already tried at least 80 times. Because I was going and fighting and over and over and over and over again. Because I was getting it down to like a quarter a lot of the time, like a third, a quarter. I'm like, I'm not that far away. Like, I can do this. Couldn't do it.
That's my problem with the game. That's your only motivation because there's no story. He just dies and says, "You'll regret it, bitch," and that's it. Like, I want a cutscene. Like, I want something. Like, I get why people like it. So it's not that it's badly made. I'm not criticizing the graphics. No, I'm not having fun, and I like having fun in games, and just the motivation being, oh, but beat the bosses. Like, you'll feel good. What's the story?
Yeah.
Beating the boss. Just beat the bosses, man.
Doesn't matter. Just as long as you beat
Do you know
them.
what? There's more story in the present day Assassin's Creed than there is in this fucking game. But I understand why people like it. But for me, I don't think so. Oh, I did play Final Fantasy. But I can talk
So,
about
like,
that after.
the small stories that are in there are like, they're fine. They're like little vignettes about individual characters and whatnot, and then there's the overarching story of like basically putting the ring back together. All that stuff is fine, but like that's just the MacGuffins that are driving you to go and like fight things, or like progress through the world and find and explore and fight things. But yeah, I'm loving just the exploration of it and like going and finding just like random shit all over the place. And like the amount of times I've just been killed by just weird things, or like I'll get killed by something that is like, oh, I didn't think this thing could kill me. Okay, something that say I've never fought before, and I'll just go up to it and I'll be like, this looks like a normal enemy. You'll hit it, and then it turns into something that's entirely not a normal enemy, and you're like, oh fuck. But then sometimes I'll come across a boss now, and I'm like, oh, this is a boss. This is gonna be tough, and I'll go in and I'll fucking take it down first time. And like sometimes it's a challenging fight for sure, but like I'll manage to do it, and that's awesome. And like I'm really happy when I beat the boss. I've gotten to the first big boss because Margit is not the first big boss that you encounter. Margit's actually,
Knight.
yeah, it's Godric or something like his name is.
Is that
Margit
the one
is
that kills you in the
actually
graveyard at the very start?
could be, I can't remember. Like that
Remember
was
at the
like
beginning
hey,
you die? No,
sure.
Margit. Yeah, but if that's the one you're meaning, because outside of that, Margit is the first one that you come to.
Margit is actually an optional boss. You don't even need to fight Margit.
You do later on to complete the ring.
Well, yeah, there's another version of Margit later on in a different boss fight, but that first one is optional. You don't actually need to fight it apparently. But I fought it. I killed it. It got fucked after it fucked me 120 odd times, which was ridiculous. I was getting very annoyed with it, but I managed to beat it eventually using a combination of wolves and the sorcerer guy and just me dodging, and I didn't really block, more dodging. I had a +2 sword and a +2 shield at the time, which was under leveled because the guides that I looked up online said you should be. Well, initially I thought 25, but it's actually 35. You should be level 35, and you should have a +4 sword.
No need. Absolutely no need. And I can't even parry. I have no idea the timings.
You can't parry him really in the second phase. Like I couldn't parry him at all. Never managed it.
But you can dodge, and I just dodged.
You can dodge, yeah. I think your dodge was much better than what mine was, and like I discovered that my I had a heavy equipment load, which means your like dodge roll is really, really slow. Like he sort of like when he rolls, he goes thump, and it takes about 5 years to fucking stand back up. You're like, it's not like a dodge, is it? Should I fall over?
I'll just throw myself out the way. Oh.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, like So I beat him, and then I've got to the first proper boss now, who's also very tough. I've managed to get him to second stage once, and second stage is just fucking silly, right? So like, I don't know if you've seen this boss.
Who is it, Godric?
But Godric, yeah. So like, he popped up in this graveyard, and he's got like all these hands. So he's like a big guy, probably maybe the same size as Margit, maybe slightly bigger, but maybe the same size anyway. But like, he's got all these hands. So he's got like two big arms, and he's got small arms like underneath his big arms, and then he's got like he's got like 10 hands across his fucking back, across his shoulders. I'm like, why does he have all these hands? So strange. Then like halfway through the
Is
fight,
he a handyman?
he's a very handy man. Yes, there's a lot of tri-finger butthole in this game. Yeah. But there's a lot of like he's got a lot of hands, right? So, but then halfway through the fight, like one of his arms, his main arms, gets chopped off. And then he like walks over to this dragon and like sticks his hand in the dragon and pulls the dragon's head off, and then he's got a dragon for a hand. The dragon's head for a hand, and then it starts shooting fire at you. And the dragon, the problem that I found was I could kind of avoid the dragons like breathing fire and stuff. I could avoid that okay, but then he will like sort of get his hand and punch down like this, boom, and the dragon will just like bite you and take you up here, and then sort of go and breathe fire on you as it's putting you back down. You can't really do anything about it.
Yeah.
So it's tough. So I'm not ready to strategize how to fight that second phase yet. I've went and tried it a couple of times, and I'm like, gonna leave that for now, and I'll go away and do other things. But I've managed to go and beat a couple of other bosses. Like I beat another boss that was way down south, down at the very bottom of the map.
What was it called? Lithuania? Is that not the one you need to beat to respec your character?
I don't know, but like it gave me a trophy for beating him, so like I'm assuming
That's a
he
main
was
boss then.
more of a mainer kind of boss. So like, because obviously it gives you a trophy when you beat Margit as well. But I just went and fought the guy, and like he was quite a tough fight. And I think it took me 2 tries to beat him. But he was in an area with a whole bunch of jellyfish like down the bottom, and there was a lot of kind of water. It was kind of like a island castle sort of thing. But yeah, I went and fought him and killed me the first time, and then went back again and fought him again. And like the first time I fought him, I tried to use the jellyfish because I remembered from fighting a boss before that it was like a beast boss or something in a cave. There was a bunch of wolves in the cave before, and I used the wolf summon, and the boss was piss easy. The wolves like absolutely destroyed him, and like it was very easy. But I did the same logic here. I'm like, there's shuttles of jellyfish here. I'll use my jellyfish summon because I got a jellyfish summon against this guy. Jellyfish did nothing. There was no help whatsoever. So I used the wolves, and the wolves helped me take the guy down the first time. That was a tight fight, but it was enjoyable. Like I like it when it's close, but I win, or even when it's close and I lose. But like these ones where like you go into the fight and like you get a couple of hits on him, and then the guy just goes bam, 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 and you're like dead in 4 hits. Like I hate that shit. That shit bugs me. But it does tell you that you're not ready to fight that boss yet, because I've come across something like that.
It happened to me a few weeks ago when obviously I was playing it, and I went through behind Margit, and I got past the guys throwing the fire, and you go in a dark room, and there's a big black knight in there, and he just goes stab and killed me. I'm like, what the fuck? You're not even as big as the guy I've just beaten. But I think it's because it's close proximity and I didn't expect them to be there, to be honest. I just thought it was a dark room.
Exact same thing happened to me, mate. I went into that room. It's the only room that I could go into. I'd killed all the fire guys that were around, couldn't work out where to go next. There was a locked door. And then I found this wee side door. I'm like, oh, I must have to go in here. Dark room. I'm like, oh, this is weird. But you can see a little shimmer in the corner. And then the knight comes out, attacks you. But there's actually a chest over in the corner. So see if you go and just open the chest and pick up whatever's in it. It's a key for the door. It's locked at the far end of the hallway, and that takes you up to a ladder, and you can go up.
Because he's got a massive shield as well, and he stabs that down, just goes jab, 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 and I was like, what the fuck, mate? And that put me back to the cliffside point, and I'm like, fuck this. And I went, I'm just going to go and have a wee look about, but I generally can't find anything that I want to explore. It's like, I don't think it's colourful enough.
I'm the total opposite. Like everything that I want to go and explore, like I spend so long looking at the map, and I'm like, there looks like there could be something over here in this area, and then I'll just put a beacon down, and then I'll run in that direction and see what happens. And like, see if I'll come across like an enemy, and I'll try and fight it, and if it's if it's proven to be too tough, I'll just run away from it and try and find the waypoints. And if they're still chasing me, I'll run to the next waypoint, and I've got so many waypoints that I can just fast travel back and forward between the like I love that. Like the fast travel is so fast as well because it's got the PS5 load time. Like just incredible. Like love that shit.
I came to a
but
point
like
where I got stuck as well, where it's at the top of Limwood where the big bear is, and there's a lake, and you go to the right over to where the dragon was that you haven't spoken about yet. But you basically are heading over that way, and it goes, "Ching, you've been invaded," and it was by a guy near a church.
Yep.
And it all goes red, and
Yep.
he fucking's got a big sword and he nailed me, and I'm like,
Yep.
"Are you kidding me?" So I went back, tried to actually fight him, and he dodge rolled me. I'm like, "This is pissing me off," so I didn't go back there.
Yeah, he killed me first time as well. I went back and killed him though. I've killed 3 or 4 of those
I
types
want
now.
to kill one.
Yeah, because there's the one that you kill when you're going to patches. Yeah,
I need to go
I killed
back
him
and kill
first time.
patches before I do anything with the game, because that fucker sent me on top of the bear. I opened his chest after buying nearly all his inventory, and he went, "Thief!" Sent me on top of the bear. I was like, "You little shit."
I did kill a big giant bear actually as well in a cave that was like a boss.
It probably wasn't the big bear of the woods, though.
It wasn't the big bear
size
of the
of the
woods.
trees.
Yeah, wasn't that one. It had a name or whatever, I can't remember what it was, but I killed a big giant bear in a cave. And it was a tough fight actually, like because it got me like right down to my last health flask. And nearly killed me, but I managed to take it down. I found that once you beat Margit, then you start to get more weapon options open up. Like obviously you get the different builds and stuff, so you start off with different weapons. But the weapon that I'm fucking absolutely in love with just now is the Wolverine claws.
Oh, I've got them.
They're the best thing, man. Like I fucking love these Wolverine claws.
I
Like
haven't used
this
them.
is they're so good. They cause bleed damage so much, and like they cause critical hits so often that like I'll be fighting a boss and it's like taking off tiny chunk, tiny chunk, tiny chunk, and then it's like chunk, big massive chunk. You're like, oh okay, big critical hit, nice. Because they do it so often. But see if I'm using a normal sword, it's just like a wee bit, a wee bit, a wee bit, and it takes forever. But like these ones, they actually do less damage than the swords, and I've got like a kind of wavy sword that I have now. I've got an axe. It's cool. And I've got these like Wolverine claws, and the axe and the sword both do more damage if I just one hit. But this is a faster weapon, and it has that upped critical for some reason, and the bleed damage like it's so much better. Like this is the one I'm using. I also bought some magic, right?
Yeah.
So I came across like a little cave somewhere. You know how there's sometimes in the forts there's like a boss door underneath.
Yeah.
So I went down one of those and like fought a boss, beat it. It was piss easy boss actually. I can't remember what it was, but it was really easy. And then beyond that, there's like this wee lady who's like, "Oh, I'm going to teach you to become a sorcerer." I'm like, "All right, sure, why not?" But I didn't have any money then to or any runes to spend to buy any spells. So once I'd leveled up all my things, that I'm going to tell you about in a minute, I went back to this woman and I had some runes left over, and I'm like, I'm going to spend it on these before I go and fight a boss, because otherwise I'll just end up losing the runes. So I went and bought those, but I don't have enough intelligence to use them yet. I have no idea how the magic works, right? But like it said, I need intelligence 12 to be able to use these spells. That's fine. I was intelligence 9. I'm now 10 because I'm now like leveling that. But yeah, I leveled up quite a bit because I was level 27, I think, when I beat or maybe 28, 27, 28 when I beat Margit, which I felt was fine. Like I was pretty happy with that, like because I'd heard 25, 35 was like what you should be. So 27, cool, and I was only +2 weapon, and it was still fucking hard. Like I still used everything and still nearly died. And it was right down to the last bit, but I took him down. But then yeah, you told me about a way to get a bunch of runes.
Yeah.
From the dragon.
Probably will get patched, by the way, and it's because it was all over Twitter, and basically I shared it with Andy, and it was like 74,000 runes, or if you use one of the golden items, it like puts up to 90, and it said go over to this way, there's baby dragons and the mum's sleeping, and if you hit the dragon on the back or the tail, it won't wake up. If you hit it in the head, it wakes up and becomes a boss fight. So, I wasn't there when you went there.
So the first time I went to this area, I'm like, I just assumed that I would have to go up and just like sort of stab its head, like, you know, kind of stealth its head. So I'm like, let me do that. So I sneaked round all the way to its head. I tried to climb on its back first because I was like, how cool would it be? Like, and this is what I would do if I was the knight here and I come across this dragon that's sleeping. I would fucking jump on its tail and slowly creep up its back, walk up to its head, fucking stab it right in the brain. Like, that's what I would do if I was like my knight guy.
You'd be the fuck out of there.
No, but like, I'm putting myself in the shoes of my knight guy who's a brave knight, right? This is not me. Not me, I'm not the brave knight. But in the game, my character is the brave knight. He just fucking goes for it. And like, if shit gets too real, he jumps on his horse and he fucking runs away. And he looks for grace points to save himself.
So he's not that brave.
Well,
he doesn't live up to his nickname, does he?
He's brave to a point. But anyway, like, he would have jumped on the dragon's back, but it didn't let you do that. Which I thought was a bit annoying, because like, it just gives you an invisible wall at the dragon. But I'm like, alright, fine. And so I ran all the way around to its head, and started attacking its head, and it fucking wakes up, and like, this thing's the biggest thing I've ever seen in a video game. Like, it's bigger than anything in Shadow of the Colossus, bigger than anything in God of War. Like, you think of the biggest video game enemy that you've ever seen, and this thing is about 5 times the size of it, at least. Ridiculous. But anyway, there's a cheese way to kill it. So you, from the sort of from the nearest grace point, which I'd unlocked running away, probably from another dragon actually. You can basically go to its tail, and you can just attack its tail until it dies, and it doesn't wake up.
Which is weird.
From you attacking it. Well, like, I explained it to you in the lore. So my canon lore for this is that my guy, like, he's got his little Wolverine claws, and all he's doing is like tiny paper cuts to the tail. And like, if somebody just sat and did tiny paper cuts to you, like a mosquito, or like a mosquito or something like that when you're sleeping, sat and stung you, you probably wouldn't notice.
These are
if you're like
maybe
if you're like 100, say you're 100-year-old guy and you've got like blisters and warts all over you, leather skin, yeah, and there's like a mosquito just fucking stinging you over and over and over again, or like giving you paper cuts over and over and over again, you're not gonna notice. You're sleeping, you're KO'd, you're like, you're gonna wake up in 18 hours. Like, you sleep 18 hours a day, and you were awake for 6.
Okay.
Because you're 100 years old.
Right.
This is what this dragon is. He's a sleepy dragon, and he's been given 1 billion paper cuts by me, and he's died from the blood loss. That's my canon for this. But anyway, like, when you kill that dragon, it gives you 74,000 runes.
Which is insane at that point in the game.
Yeah, at the early part of the game, that's an insane fucking amount of runes. Like,
so you got a wee boost from that.
Oh, I got a wee boost from that, yeah. Like, because it was taking me maybe like 4,000 or 5,000 to level up at that point at like level 27, and I'm now got most of the way boosted. I think it got me up. That got me up to like level 38 or 40 or something. And then now I'm up to like, it's now 10,000 runes to level up each level, which is fine. So like, basically I put all of that into my strength and my vitality. So those are now way up. I think I'm 25 in strength and like 20 in vitality. And now I need to up the intelligence so I can use this magic spells. Because I'm really curious to see what the magic.
Well, apparently magic makes it easy mode. Like, and I've seen people spamming bosses because there's a spell you can cast that I don't know if it just lets you repeat or blocks all spells coming your way. And because every video I've seen, just scrolling through Twitter, they've cast this mad spell and then they just have this like ice beam sort of thing coming out, and it just goes and the bosses just go down. And my friend's level 100, and he said the last boss he beat, 4 hits it took him, and that was him trying. He says basically he spams magic at the door and beats the boss, and I'm like, isn't that taking away the fun of the game? Like, if
I mean, it's all there in the game, innit? Like the game's there to be beaten. They give you the tools to beat it. It's up to you how you want to use them. But what I bought, the 2 magic spells, right? So I bought one that was like, it's just like a chip damage, like a long range thing. And that's basically because I didn't like the crossbow. Like, I tried using the crossbow, hated it. So I bought this like chip damage thing so I can shoot things from far away, which is going to be useful for like fighting the fucking birds because they're just annoying.
With and dagger claws.
The dagger claws, yeah, and I can beat them easily, but like they can do quite a lot of damage to me, and it just saps my health down, which is annoying as shit. So like, if I can shoot them a little bit before they come near me, like that's going to be helpful to me. The other thing I bought, which I just thought would be fucking cool, if I just had a magic sword. So I bought a spell that lets me make my sword magic. I'm like, this seems cool,
Where
and
did
like
you buy
it
your
shows you like
spells? Round table?
off a lady. No, off the round table. I said, I found this woman in a cave after I beat a boss
Oh.
who was like, "I'm a sorceress woman. Do you want me to teach you how to be a sorcerer?" I'm like, "Sure, why not?" You know, I haven't like I've been back to the round table like a few times,
There's nothing
and
really there for it.
they didn't give me a bow. They didn't give me anything.
See, I
Like
got the bow,
supposedly,
the black something bow,
hmm.
and I don't like the bows. I don't like bows in video games though in general, really.
See, I like bows, but I don't like the aiming mechanics in this game for long range stuff. Like I'll see how it is with magic once I'm able to use it. But I mean, I'm already using the little summons and shit. So like the wolves, I use them all the time.
Everybody
But
I see though
apparently,
says that magic just turns on God mode for the game, like literally.
yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna use it here or there. But like I've done it like a melee build, but I'm not like locking myself out of doing things
Yeah.
just to make the game harder for myself. Because
No,
like the game's fucking hard enough as it is.
oh, it's
Like
challenging, yeah.
it took me 120 attempts to beat Margit. Like, and like I'm not intending to go and like just do the cheeses for the magic because like I've seen one like that as well. I seen a boss that kills me in one hit now, where like a guy just went and literally just fired a fucking laser beam at it and like killed it in about 4 seconds.
Yeah.
Like,
That's not fun though, is it really?
like what?
I suppose, like you said, it's there to abuse and use if you want, but see the people play
Yeah.
like that, to me that's not really playing the Souls games. Like, every Souls game that I've played, it's usually been Sword and Shield. Demon Souls have got magic in it as well, but I don't overuse the magic, whereas these guys seem to be just going in and going like, boom, and then it's like they do this sort of thing and like a whole beam comes out and the boss doesn't even get it. The boss drops down and they basically wipe it out, and it's either
Yeah.
like
There's anything there.
or like it's like 2 hits and the boss is like
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen anybody be able to do that in like Bloodborne or Dark Souls or anything like that. It's always been
No.
like they've had like a parry, like a
Yes.
parry god complete the game really quickly. But like I've seen like people have completed this game in like half an hour already, which is insane.
is that with
Like, how
glitching though?
I
Or
don't
did-
know if it's been glitching, like
Or
because
can you
I've
just
not
go to the last
obviously,
boss maybe?
I don't know, like I haven't obviously looked into it because I'm trying to like I
For
don't
the story.
I'm trying yeah well not for the story but like for the bosses and whatnot. Like I think it's more fun to just find the stuff for yourself.
Yeah, I think the bosses
In
are
the
meant to be
beginning.
treated the way I play as like a puzzle. Like you meet the boss and it's going to kill you the
Yeah.
first time usually, and you're like, oh, okay, you beat
First
me, right?
20 times, yeah.
Well, let's see let's see how you do and usually figure it out. Like I know Andy took longer with Margaret, but I still don't understand that. But mostly because he claims to have beat Bloodborne, but this is because I beat him so quick and like it wasn't like lucky hits or anything. I went in with planning. You knew my plan. I told you my plan. I went in and I figured it out and I'm like, right, okay, so it's about halfway down. He brings out the hammer, right? So I was sending out the guy that you can summon that teaches you how to bring people to your world. It's just an NPC. And I was like, he does no damage, right? So what use is he? Okay, so he distracts the boss for me. Cool. Right. Wolves, what do? Fucking nothing. They just distract the boss as well. So I'm like, why don't I split it up? So what I did was I went in and like there'd be some guy like distract him and I would go up and I would chip away and when he turned to me I would dodge and just dodge till he fucking focused on the other guy again, and then I went back to him and I'd chip away at him and I was level 1 weapon, maybe level 1 shield, and I had 5 health flasks. I used 3 of them. I only know I used 3 because in the screenshot I sent you there was like 2 left, but like after that I was like, right, what if I send the wolves out halfway, because that's only something I've got, and it's like, right, I'll send the wolves out, okay, so that's cool, so that distracts him for the second part, and he does this giant hammer like slam move that practically wipes you out, so I'm like, better stay away from him as fuck, so I basically just did the same thing again, and then kept backing away, like just doing that jump back thing as much as I could, trying to time it. I tried to parry a couple I can't parry in this game, and I just took him down, managed to kill him, and then I took my health flask just before he was about to kill me, and it filled me back up, and I got the last hit in, and that's literally how I did it. And I thought nothing of it until I seen all these people popping up, going, "Oh my god, that's it! I've played Demon Souls games. I've played Souls games for years, and I just can't beat this first boss." And I'm like, I didn't find them too bad. I'm not saying that like I said straight after that, the Dark Knight in that room, fucked me up.
Do you know what? I'm just thinking, right? Because what if, right? And it is a wacky thought. What if they make that boss harder for certain people?
Don't think so.
Because they could fucking do that. Say if they go and they detect that you've beaten a Souls game already.
Oh, maybe they can see your save file and the boss is harder. I don't know. I doubt it. But that's just giving yourself a pat in the back. But like, no.
I mean, like that would be cool if they did shit like that. Yeah,
but
because they're like, oh, this guy knows, so he knows that just to keep going.
They would read the save file, yes. So they would read that I've played Dark Souls on PlayStation, that I've played Bloodborne on PlayStation.
You've never beaten it though.
That I've played Demon Souls on PlayStation.
And they'd be like, this guy's never beaten these games. He needs a wee hand.
That'd be like an invasion.
That'd be incredible. I mean, you agree to the terms and conditions. Did you read them?
Somebody would have found that in the terms and conditions that it can do that by now. They would have said that the bosses are scalable.
It just seems like there's that weird disparity. Like, and I've seen it online as well, where like some people will beat it at like a really low level. Like I beat it at level 5, I beat it at level 11, and then other people are like, I couldn't beat it until I was like level 50.
Oh, the first time I tried Margaret, I was level 14. Just kept wiping out. But remember my second time fighting him, I took him down to like a quarter health because I sent you the pictures.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, cool. So, and then I left it for a while and I went exploring. And then I came back and I went, do you know what? I know what my mission is. I'm going to beat Margaret. So I leveled up to 18, went in and beat him. And I was like, cool. And then obviously he gives you like 9,000 runes and that got me up to like level 22, I think it was. But the scalable thing would be cool. I doubt it, but it would be cool.
I think it would be more cool for like a completely optional boss if they did things like that. But I that's wild speculation on my part. But anyway, like the actual game's fucking amazing. Like, just insane. Like I think if people have never played a Soulsborne game before,
I would say play this one to try them.
Play this one for sure. Like
it's more accessible at the start. Like, see Demon Souls, when I first played that, I knew what I was getting into. See if you pick up Demon Souls and you don't know what you're getting into and you die like 6 times. Like every Souls game kills you halfway through the first level by a boss that you can fight later. Every one of them that I've played does this. And then you have to go back and it teaches you about resurrection. So like, this game kind of gives you more play area than other Souls games before it starts fucking you up. Like you said, you could put hours into this game and not see Margaret or the bosses just exploring, so you've got more things to do. Whereas I find the Souls games, Bloodborne, kind of put you down alleyways and stuff. They box you in, and it's like that door will open when you beat these guys, and it's like, but I can't. I'm shit. And it's like, that's where Get Good came from, and it's like,
then it's like basically then you're back to doing. You basically have to do loops, and like I've done this loads of times on streams. There's many streams of me just going and doing loops of like killing the same enemies over and over and over again. And like I did still enjoy it because like the combat was fun and like the world was cool and that, but like and you totally learn the enemy patterns, and like it becomes like it doesn't become particularly it doesn't become exciting anymore, like when you know that there's a guy just about to jump around the corner. Like, and you've killed him about 40 times already.
So that's the problem for the beginner. If the beginner's not that skilled at the game, you're kind of having to stick to the same starting areas and fight the same enemies, and your progress will slow and slow and slow and slow, and then you'll have to move to another area, and then you've got different enemies to learn. I can see why people. That's not the reason I don't like them. I don't know. They just don't sit with me. But I just don't have the patience. I think that's more of a thing than the difficulty for me is the patience. Like, I don't want to fucking learn. I don't.
So like. That's what I like so much about this game though, is that as soon as you hit a barrier of any kind in whatever area you're in, then you can just boost.
Unless
like
it's an
fucking
invader.
Unless it's an invader, you can just fast travel out of there and fuck off somewhere else over the other side of the map.
Yeah,
like there's so many different areas that you can go and explore, especially like as soon as you get the horse, like you're open to the whole world pretty much.
Most times you can avoid enemy encounters enough to open up parts of the map. I struggle finding, after the first 2 map pieces, I struggle to find more maps, so that kind of annoys me as well. Like I've been to most of the
Yeah.
top area, but it's still greyed out, and I'm like, I need a map here. And I'm like
Yeah.
you, I don't want to look it up at this point, so I'm like, it's not obvious where this is. Like I can only put
Like
markers down. Nothing really shows me a
yeah.
map, so just
So
show
like
me where the map is.
I looked up where the first map piece was because like it was bugging the shit out of me that I didn't have any kind of map or bearings for where the fuck I was. So I looked up where that one was, but I found the other one.
I
I
told you
can't
where it
remember
was
what
as
it was.
well, but you weren't listening. I told you
Well,
that it was in
yeah,
that area you
but
can't because I found it
yeah,
there.
but I couldn't work out where that was because I couldn't fucking see the map.
Yeah,
So
that's very difficult, but
once I got that, then fine. But yeah, I haven't like. I wish it would give you some kind of hint as to where the map is, or
or
like
somebody would tell
something
you,
within
I
the
seen a
game.
map, blah blah blah, and it's
Yeah,
like
or like even fucking give me a quest and you'll give me a map, or like have a guy in a shop selling it
buy
or
the
some
map.
shit. Like,
Yeah, that would be better
yeah,
because like the second map was in the woods
just random. Like it was a random place that
near
I
the
found it.
bear
Yeah, like
scratching the tree. I think it was.
maybe I can't remember, but I certainly haven't found any. And every time like you see like the purple, like little the glowy purple. The glowy purple is always should be always something useful to you. Not always,
What
but
glowy
like it's
purple?
so like, you've got the items that you can pick up and they glow white. So
Oh
like
yeah.
say the dead guy lying, he's got a white glowing thing. It's like, oh, he's got an item I can pick up. Well, if it's a purple glow, then it means it's like a key item basically.
Ah, okay, like a key or a treasure or
This is like
something.
a map piece or like some kind of important item to you, like that type of thing, or like a golden seed and things like that. But yeah, like so as soon as you see one of those, you're like, how the fuck did I get to that? Because they're always in like not always, but a lot of time they're in like weird places. Like you see, I'm sure there's one like at the very beginning of the game
So have you
where
got
it's
any more
like
map
right up
apart from the
top.
two that you found? No.
Nope, nope. I haven't looked up where the other map pieces are.
It's
I
annoying
don't
and
want
like
to.
it's
Yeah,
annoying though because like I think if you can't find the map, if you've been in that area, it should just unlock it. Like it's just
yeah. I've unlocked I've unlocked shitloads of like areas and like hundreds, not maybe not hundreds, but like a lot of
grace
fast travel
points.
points now, like grace points. Um, And those are hard to find sometimes, by the way. Like, because I've been
Yeah.
through areas and then I've come back to them and then I've like just gone a tiny, slight different way, and I'm like, oh, there's a grace point right
Yeah,
there. I've
they're
been
not
through this
obvious.
area. I've been through this area like 50 times.
At,
Like, how have I never noticed this?
at first, I was finding it really difficult to find them. Like, see, the first time, you know, the bridge you go over if you don't go down to the bit where you drop down to get patches, which also isn't obvious that you can do that at first.
Yeah,
So if you go over that bridge, like I travelled for ages, I'm like all the way down to that sort of like the first underground area that you can see on the map at the
yeah, yeah.
bottom. I was like, where the fuck's the grace points here? Like I couldn't see any. And when you first play these games, you are kind of nervous, and you kind of keep transporting back to the Santa Church. That was my safe haven, and it's like,
I
alright.
still go to that all the time. Sandy, because there's a shop right there that
And
can
you
sell
know
things.
that nothing's going to come and really get you at that grace point
Yeah.
because the only thing that's close by is the knight, and he kind of turns just before the bit of the hill. Don't get me wrong, if he sees you, he'll chase you up to that church and inside it if he needs to. But yeah, it's some of the grace point. Like it's not like they're a bright yellow beacon like in some games, or it's obvious. It's
Yeah.
just they could be slightly behind a hill off the main path, and you're like, I don't see
Or
it.
they're like they're like behind a tree or like a bush or something,
Yeah,
like they're just out of the way.
the
And
first
like if you look over
the
that way, you would
basic
never see it. But like if you look
basically, I
that
would
way, you're like,
say
oh,
holding your hand's probably the wrong thing, but this game holds your hand up into the castle of Margate. It leads you up to Margate because it kind of is obvious. Like you can see the big castle, you can see the pathway up, and if you kind of work your way how to get to that castle, the grace points start pointing the way where you need to go.
yeah, yeah.
And
The
like,
other ones do as well. Like see the ones down the bottom and that
oh
they
no, I'm
point you
sure they do.
towards
No, but
places
what
as
I'm meaning
well.
is, in the other games, Souls games, it kind of just dumps you and goes, yeah, get on with it. Like you figure out
Yeah,
which street to go in.
I'm actually like I wouldn't have bothered with doing the pointers in the game.
No, I
Like I
don't
don't
think
think
you
it
need
needs it.
to. But what I'm saying
No,
is, somebody going in blind that doesn't go online. Well, they need to go online to play this game. But like,
oh,
well, you know, you don't. You can play offline.
you
But
don't
like,
need to. Yeah.
um, you can. It's more helpful than the other Souls games I've started. Like Demon Souls,
Yeah,
especially, just dumps you in and goes fight stuff. What am I doing? There's demons and souls going fight
yeah. Like I'm definitely taking more risks in this game than I have done in previous Souls games.
because it's so easy to
Like
fast travel.
because it's so easy to fast travel, because it's so easy to get away, and also like I'm not being as protective over
Because
my runes.
Bloodborne would put you back to the last campfire or whatever it was, bonfire. But like in Demon Souls, if you die, you're back to the start of the fucking level. It's not a case.
Lanterns in Bloodborne, it was
Yeah,
lanterns.
Demon Souls doesn't even have that. It's got a start point and that's it. If you die, you go back to the start point. Yeah, you can unlock shortcuts later in the game, but still, if you're near the end of that game or the boss kills you, there's no like checkpoint. It's like you're back to the very start of the level, and guess what? All the enemies have resurrected again. So Demon Souls was the very first attempt, and even though the new one looks nice, it's much more frustrating than Elden Ring because yeah, when you die, the enemies resurrect in this, but there's ways around them. See, in Demon Souls, if there's a set path, and a lot of the older games were rigidy wooden paths up next to castles. They are in this, but it's open, obviously. But like Demon Souls and all that, that was all it was. Like Bloodborne was more streets, narrow streets and stuff like that. But Dark Souls, Demon Souls, yeah, you're talking like enemy encampments that in Assassin's Creed you would just leap up in 2 seconds. It's like if you go left or right, even if you dodge the wrong way in Dark Souls, you're off the edge of the bridge and it's back to the start. Well, not quite as harsh in Dark Souls because Dark Souls does have the go to the last place that you went to. I think Bonfires is Dark Souls, and Demon Souls is just fuck you back to the start of the level, mate. What? I have to fight for all that again? Yeah, yep. But I used all my health flasks. Yep.
Yeah. This one's got like so you've got the grace points, and then you've got these statue things as well that you can respawn at.
Yeah, but most of the time they're as bad as the checkpoints in Assassin's Creed, the ones I've came across, because they're like right next to the grace point anyway, and it's like, why would I choose that over the grace point?
So like I used it actually to help me beat a boss, because there was this boss who was in one of them, like you've seen the big stone circle and it's got like a sort of glowy purple thing in the middle.
No, not yet.
Basically, you go into it and it takes you down on the left. But it's just one underground area and it takes you into like a boss fight arena.
No, I'm not.
And so you just fight. Right, so you just fight one boss. I think I've seen 2 of them so far, and I beat one. This thing was like a bloodhound. This is where I got my cool wavy sword from. So I went down into that, and it killed me, and I'm like, oh fuck, this is going to be really annoying to get back to. But then it's like, oh, do you want to respawn at the statue? Because it was miles away from a grace point. It's like, do you want to respawn at the statue, or do you want to respawn at the grace point? And I'm like, I didn't see the statue. Like, I'll respawn at it and see what it is.
And it logs
them. Yeah, because they just kind of blend into the background. You don't notice where they are. And like, I respawn at the statue, and it's like, oh, I'm right there. And the cool thing with those fights as well is that it doesn't leave your runes in the basement, right? So like it doesn't leave them in the boss area. It leaves them like on top, like before you go down in the lift.
I'll add to that because in Dark Souls, if you fall off, your runes are down the bottom, like tough if you can't reach them. Seeing this, if you fall off, it puts them on the platform you fell off of.
Yeah.
So if you die from falling, if you can safely get, say you fall at the bit of patches, because I did fall there, your runes will appear there. Well, your grace or whatever it is, because you can get down there. But see, in an area where there's a ledge where it's just like bottomless pit, you can't get off, the runes will appear at the edge of that, so you're not lost forever. Obviously they are if you die in the way to get them, but I think that was that's more user friendly as well, doing that, rather than you fell, well, there's where you died, the end.
But like with fighting Margit or one of the other bosses, like see if I'm going in to fight them, I'll make sure I fucking spend all of my runes before I go in, because I don't want to have to worry about them, because if you go in with, say you went in with like 4,000 runes or something like, you're not going to want to lose them. You're just going to want to keep fighting that over and over and over and over again until you recover those, which is like just frustrating. Because if you go to fight Margit with runes, then the runes will be in the boss room. You can't get away.
That's a good tip. The only way of recovering your runes is beating the boss. Yeah.
Beat the boss, yeah. So like, just spend all your runes before you go into a boss fight.
That's the best tip. Of the time. Or even to a new area you're unsure of, in case you get stuck. Because even though you've got your horse, you can get fucked up in areas if you're not careful. Yeah. So if you're going to plan an expedition into an unknown area, or you think it's higher level, because they're not like obvious. Every other hard game is like, oh, this area's too hard for you. This game's like, no, go what you like, find out for yourself. So like, definitely spend every bit that you can. Spend as much as you can. Buy items, buy anything, because even if you're buying an item you don't want, you can sell the item and it's less money, but you're at least keeping your runes stored. What I would also say is, see your golden orbs that level you up, don't use them until you're leveling up, because if you use them, then you're just walking about with runes. So I would only use them ever at the grace points. That's what I would do. And there's actually a bit near the start, and it's down near the beach, where it's a set of gravestones, and it's
There's
maybe
loads of
not,
them.
and there's
There's
loads
loads of
of
them in
gold
the game,
orbs there, and they reappear. So if you've got a save point over the bridge somewhere away from Patches, and you're going down the beach near Limgrave, visit that area first. And I think it's just to the south of the woods where the bears are. I think it's to the south of there, down the cliff.
No, I don't know if those do reappear.
They do, they do,
There's
because they reappeared for me.
loads of those. There's loads of those grave sort of stone points, and I've come
Yeah,
across a few that have been empty. And like I've been to loads of them
no, we'll
and
see.
picked up a ton of the runes.
So
So
unless they've patched it in the last 2 weeks, that area below the woods was the first. Because before I went over the top to get over the top of the lake to get to the woods, I went down the bottom way to the woods. And as you're coming up, there's a bit, and there's like 3 or 4 wolves, and there's like loads of gravestones, and they respawned there. You had to go to a grace point and restart the game, so you had to save it, quit, and then reload.
Yeah.
But they would reappear in that area, and I got a few of them there to get up to level 22. But see, by the time you're even level 20, those are practically worthless, to be honest with you. Like
they actually scale a bit. So like they've got different. I don't know if you've noticed, but they have different ratings. So like there's golden rune, and it's got a 1 in brackets, and then
Yeah,
golden rune 2 and golden 3.
I've got plenty of the smithing stones that don't work. Like I need the basic ones, and it's like find them in caves, and every cave
Oh
I've been
yeah,
to, there's none. And I'm like,
yeah.
but I want to build my
I've
weapons.
found I've found quite a lot of them now, and like I wish I hadn't used them on my fucking stupid sword that I had at the beginning, and I'd saved them for my Wolverine claws. Because now it's like, because you need basically 2 to level it up the first time, and then the second time it's 4, and like this seems to be a shitload to find. Like I've managed to level up that twice now, so like I've got 6 smithing stones into it. That seems to be a very, very rare resource, to be honest. The
What,
smithing stone.
stone?
Yeah, like even the early one. I'm sure the late ones are as well. Like so that's I'm not doing anything with them just now.
Do you know what I found a
sticking them
lot?
in the chest.
I found a lot in the underground area at the tree, not the glowy tree, but the big tree in the woods near the bear.
Right.
There's an underground area there, and I went down, and I went further in that area than I'd been in any, and basically just kept saying mob ahead, and I looked, and there was like 6 or 7 enemies, and I was like 6 or 7 of them is going to mess me up, but the other one was handy, and it said treasure ahead, and there was treasure ahead for a change, and there was loads of those smithing stones, but the unfortunate thing is none of them work in my weapons because they're too low, obviously, so I'm like, I don't need these.
Yeah, I think they could have been. I think they should have let the shop sell those as well.
Yeah, because that would have been a problem.
Yeah, even if they're selling for like 1,000 runes or whatever, like I think that'd be fair.
Or you had to find certain items to trade for it.
Yeah, something like that. Have you done any of the crafting yet?
I've got the crafting kit, but when I couldn't figure out how to make fucking even arrows, I was like, I don't give a shit. Crafting sucks.
So I've done like I got a load of the cookbooks and like whatever, but like
Yeah, I bought something that didn't even tell me you already own this and just let me buy it. So I've got like 3 of the same item, and I spent like a few hundred when I needed a few hundred to level up. And I'm like, I'm really annoyed the fact that you've let me buy 3 copies of this book and you're only going to give me like 1 rune back for them. I'm like,
I mean, it's the same though. Like if you worked in a shop and some guy comes in and he's like, I already own this book. Can I buy this book? You want? Sure.
no, but in your inventory it should come up saying you already own this item.
Yeah, that would be good, but it doesn't.
They added a jump
Do you
up,
know the most annoying thing about the game right now to me is right. Like, and this will bring me kind of up to date with where I am. So I bought the torch, right off Santa. Torch, useful item. Like I only bring it out when I'm in a cave, helps me light up, but it means I can't hold my shield at the same time.
Right.
And I've got my weapon in my other hand, so I've got the torch and I've got my weapon, and then I need to switch to shield when I come to a fight and it's dark again. So I bought a lantern, right, from, I think, it might have been Santa or one of the Santas or something. Bought a lantern. Like, this will be great. I'll just equip the lantern, because I've had lantern in Bloodborne, I'm sure it was, and it was just auto on all the time. Fine, anytime you're in a cave, the lantern's on.
Yeah, it makes sense, you can light, yeah.
This one, the lantern is just an item that you can use in your inventory, so you have to go into the inventory, click use.
Perishable.
It's not perishable. It's there all the time. It doesn't use itself up or anything. But you have to go on, click it on every time, and you can't equip it to like a quick slot or anything.
Just to
like
have
that.
it hanging off your belt or something.
Yeah, so like if you go into an area and end up in the dark all of a sudden, like with that night, because like I had the lantern by the time I got to that night, and I'm like, I'm like, oh yeah, fuck, and then the knight's coming at me. I'm like, I can't do this, shit. And then ran towards the light and got that key. But yeah, anytime when you end up in a dark area without notice, then you're fucked because you can't equip the lantern.
Which happens
Really
a
annoying.
lot in this game because there's an entire
Yeah,
map of the underground as well.
and like you can also like just fall through things. There's traps and shit where like the ground will just give
Oh
way,
yeah.
and you end up in a big dark room. And you're like, I don't know what's in here, and you don't have your light. So yeah, I wish the lantern had like a quick equip button, or it was just on anytime in the dark. Because like that's what would happen in the dark. He would just switch his lantern on, fine, sorted. But yeah, I absolutely love the game, man. Like it's fucking amazing. Like I want to be playing it now. I was playing it earlier. I was playing it last night. Like I don't need another game at all. Like it completely took me away from Horizon. That I was quite enjoying. But I just
It
had
took
the
the world
draw.
away from Horizon. Like, it took the world away so much that the developers were moaning about it on Twitter. They would have got into trouble for that. We talked about it last week. But
Yeah. Exploring the world though is just like it's so fun, and like every time when I come across like something that I'm like, oh my god, this is so difficult. I can't do this. I just kind of make a mental note, and I'm like, I'll come back and look at you later, and I go away somewhere else, and then I'll come back 5 hours later, and I'll kill the thing easily. Like
uh,
that shit's hard for me.
I'm glad you're enjoying it, and I'm glad everybody else is. And it seems to be the most popular Souls game of all time. I think it's the most popular new IP since Destiny 1 came out, as far as I read, which is
Nice.
huge for it. But it definitely got a lot of marketing this time round compared to others. I mean, my cousin, who, as you know, hasn't played that much till recently, you seen his trophy list. It was like COD, FIFA, Witcher 3 out of nowhere, and he even spoke about Elden Ring. It's like, how do you even know about that? To me, the From Software's evolved a kind of a niche game, and it's because they've made a heavy push with this as well. That's why they knew they had something when they get George R. Martin even to write one line of the story. It's like George R. Martin helped create it. It's like
He wrote the paragraph that reads you at the beginning of the game.
he
That's probably what he did.
Do you know what? It's even that. That's enough to say George R. Martin is one of our
Oh,
writers.
totally.
Or they could have named him your lead writer, even though that's all he wrote. He established the world.
Yeah.
Did you? So he maybe wrote a paragraph. It maybe didn't cost him that much, but using him in the marketing was genius because everybody knows Game of Thrones. Do you know what I mean? Like, even like people that didn't read the books know Game of Thrones.
He will have been paid a minimum of $1 million. Minimum.
Possibly, yeah. Just to write a paragraph.
Even if he
Although
only wrote that one paragraph.
From what I read, he established the entire world and he's wrote a whole backstory on it and he's created the history and the wars that's happened and the areas was all created by him. So yeah, he did do work on it, he helped develop it, and he's been promoting it himself. And if he didn't do that much on it, I don't think he would have wrote that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think he wrote more than like we're giving him credit for. To be fair,
absolutely, because it's heavily used. But even if he did write a paragraph, see if we had an indie game, we paid him, he'd be the head writer. We'd name him head writer.
Oh,
like
yeah,
George R. R. Martin's
definitely.
the head writer of our game. What did he write? See that title screen saying "In the darkness, once something moved." That was George R. R. Martin's writing. The rest was all.
I beat that. Remember the boat guy that you fought?
Yeah.
The
He
guy
slams you with the boat.
Yeah, I beat him. Beat him first time.
He uses the boat like a sword almost.
He did. Yeah, I liked that fight, man. That was fucking cool.
It didn't
his
seem
skeleton-
too difficult. It's just that I got overwhelmed at that point by the amount of skeletons that, because when he first does it, only two appear. I took care of them, no bother. Then the next time there was like maybe four. I don't know if it doubles or triples, but there seemed to be too many around me. It wasn't him that killed me. It was the fucking skeletons.
The skeletons, like he ended up with like 30 skeletons on me at points. But like what I found was the way to beat him is, and if anybody's listening, you'll know this if you've seen the guy. Basically, what he does, you might not, because you might try and fight the skeletons like you did. Don't fight the skeletons. Fucking ignore them. Just fight the guy, right? And then when he starts to do the attack that's like making a wave, big sort of circular typhoon type wave, just book it away from him, and he'll fucking kill the skeletons for you. And then you can, the skeletons don't die the first time, so like they go down, and then you can then run in and just kill the skeletons in one hit. So like, see when they're lying on the ground,
Good tip, yeah.
and then they just don't and those skeletons don't
he's
respawn.
not
He
like
brings more.
He's not like a main boss though. He's just kind of a river. He guards the river in one of the areas up north.
He is a boss though. Like there's so many bosses. In this
do you know how
game.
many there is? Andy, there's 93 bosses in the game.
Yeah, I reckon I've killed like maybe 10 or something like that so far.
The only reason I know that is
like,
because Dreamcast guy done a video. He's beat every boss in the game and there's
Nice.
93 bosses, and I don't even think he was counting like sub bosses like that knight in that room. I would consider him a boss at this point. He wasn't counting those sort of
I
things.
think he's counting the ones that come up with like a health bar.
Yeah, he
like,
has
at the bottom, and a name.
93 of those though. 93.
I still can't beat the tree sentinel though. I've tried to fight him a couple times.
Solid. I know him now
like,
and then. I got whack him, but he's psycho, man. He'll poke you through the church with his...
Oh yeah, I can do some damage to him now. Like my claw is doing some decent damage to him. But like as soon as he fucking hits me, he's like bam 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 bam, 3 hits and I'm dead. I'm like avoid. But do you know what happened to me? I was out and about in the darkness, right? And like there's you go way down past him. There's another bridge. Yeah. There's a horse guy on the bridge. So like, I've killed that guy a bunch of times, and he's just a normal guy. Except this time at night, fucking he was like a ring wraith. So he shows up on a giant black horse. Like he's basically the same size as the
enemies
fucking
change
golden
at
knight guy.
nighttime.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my, and he just like he came out of nowhere and just fucking whacked me, and I'm like, oh my god.
So maybe a light in that room with that knight would make it easier to beat him, because it does tell you that different times of day will cause different enemies to appear, and it will cause different behaviours in enemies. I'm sure you're told that very early on in the game.
Yeah.
And you kind of forget about it. I only remember it there when you said it changed. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I was totally
some are
going
to be easier to beat at night, and some are going to be more difficult to beat at night.
But I managed to fight this guy, and I managed to take him down. Which is cool, and like it came up as well. Like it was like big health bar. Give me, I can't remember the name of it, but like give me the name of the knight. And I had to kill his horse twice because his horse respawned. It was really weird. Like because I took him down, he fell off his horse. So I jumped off my horse, started hitting him, and then he just vanished.
Here's what I want to know.
Way over.
Talking about the respawns, right? So people speedrun these games. Enemies reappear when you like go to a save point. Is there anyone that's made a run of any Souls game where they've killed every enemy in the game so that there's none left standing, meaning they haven't went? Surely that's the ultimate challenge if nobody has.
I mean, you'd have to do it at like level 0 then, because you couldn't level up. Which would be... I mean, maybe you could do it with magic.
I would even accept it if they did it in like New Game Plus. Like even doing it in New Game Plus, killing every enemy without saving. Has there been anyone to do that on any of them, like Souls or Bloodborne, or because that would be some challenge. Do you know what I mean?
In the comments, send us a link to the video of that, because that would be cool to see.
There must be somebody that's attempted that. I can't have just been the person to think of that.
I seen a guy. I'm sure it was Elden Ring. They'd beat Elden Ring with a banana controller.
There's always folk like that. There's a guy, remember, he'd done, was it Demon's Souls or Dark Souls, blindfolded on a Guitar Hero controller?
Yeah, and there was a guy beat it with these might all be the same guy, to be fair. There was a guy beat it with the bongos from Donkey Kong as well.
Donkey Kong, I've seen that guy, and I also seen somebody do it with Dance Dance Revolution Dance Mat.
It's probably the same guy that does all those.
It might be, but it's hard enough anyway, and this guy's playing it with awkward, horrible controllers. I'm sure I've seen somebody do it with the Samba DM. You know, remember the Samba DM?
Oh, yeah.
I've seen someone do it with that. So it's basically like move forwards, go to the left, and then you've got buttons on the actual thing. It's no. But I mean, a lot of this is, and a lot of old school gamers, the reason you see a lot of older people finishing these games is because the generation above us, even though we are old, the generation above us, folk in their 40s, grew up on games like this where it was brutal. It was like we had it as well. We didn't really have save stuff, but we started getting it quicker in our gaming life than they did. I'm talking about the people that started life with microcomputers and stuff. They're used to tough games. You're dead. You have to start from the beginning. They would go every week and just start again, restart again. So they play these games, like Metal Jesus is what I'm referring to, and guys like that. They'll play these games and be like, yeah, this is cool. It's just pattern recognition, which is what the old arcade games were, like you said. So once you know the enemy's patterns, you can avoid it. Like if you've learned it enough and you know I need to dodge here or I need to block here, you can learn it. But see, this is the point. This is exactly the reason. Like I said, I couldn't figure it out. I don't have the patience to fucking learn that. And I know once you get to a certain level, you can cheese the bosses. I don't want to do that either. I want to play the game normally. And obviously these games, there's no difficulty level, and as you know, I fucking hate turning the game down anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you've already exhibited the patience though with Margit, because like I didn't have the patience on Margit at all. So that's probably because I was playing it like Bloodborne, and I'm still definitely playing it like that, where I play very aggressively, where I'll run into a fight and like I'll dodge around their fucking feet and like block them now and again.
The
And
first time I did that, and then I went, can't
Margaret
do it.
was, yeah, and like I did beat Margaret like that eventually.
I know what you mean, and I did demonstrate the patience then, right? But my point
Yeah.
is, I don't want to play a game where I have to do that. That's my point. It's like I said on Twitter, when I beat Margaret, it felt like I'd finished the game. It legitimately did, even though I'd only played it for a few hours at that point. Like, 8 hours in maybe. I think I've gave it 8 hours. And I was like, I get it, but do I want to do this again? No. So, and then like, the other thing that pisses me off, and I know it's a big thing for the games, and it's not because it's difficult, it's more just an annoyance to me. It's not a challenge. It's like, right, I need to go to this enemy camp. You go to the Grace Point. Right, well, I've killed all these guys, but I need to go there again. I cannot be bothered because one of those guys, I know it's like, get good, get your skill level. I don't want to. Like, if I've killed them, I want them to fuck off. Like, I don't want to have to go back there and, it's you fucking again, or you. Because the problem is, you drop your. I, anyway, drop my wits basically at those points, and it's more like you keep your wits about you at all times. Like in Dark Souls, I played it shield up constantly because there's so many things that jump out of corners in Dark Souls. Not so much in this game, I found. There's more guys that throw things at you in this game that's annoying in the tighter corridors. But what I find is, what a stupid mistake kills me. You're telling me I have to do that all over again? I don't want to. Like, I don't mind going back there and trying the boss again, but the fact that you're telling... Okay, Margaret was different because there's a save point right there, but not every boss is positioned like that. Like, so sometimes
I think most of the bosses have a grace point just before them. Like Godric has one immediately before him as well.
Maybe not bosses, but see, just in general areas. If I want to go and explore an area and I've kind of cleared it, it's different in games like Zelda and that, because if someone comes and hits me a few times, I can ignore it. See, even a standard enemy from that starting area can kill you if you've not got your wits about you. If you're just trying to go through the forest, three, 4 stabs and you could be dead. It's like, are you kidding me? I just need to go up the fucking hill.
The thing is though, you're fast, like especially with the horse in the open world.
But I don't find that. I don't find it simple.
This is how I play the game. I run fucking past everything.
I get that. I don't play like that though. I don't play like that. But like, even if I could, I find the controls like kind of like this sometimes. Like, what's my fucking button for the fucking horse? Just let me click R3. Give me my horse. Like, what's wrong with doing that? Why do the controls have to be a challenge as well as the game? Like,
see, I've got it mapped to the quick button
so
down the bottom.
So that it doesn't make it any easier for me. But like, see, for me, it's like all these things added on top of each other. It's like, I don't have it in me to give you the time that I'm going to need to beat you. I don't particularly like 100+ hour games, as you know, and I don't want to play a 100-hour game that it's not the difficulty, and it's not me saying that I'm good at these games. It's me saying because I don't think these games are necessarily definitely hard. They're hard if you play it like running in guns blazing. But see, if you get patience and you hold your shield and you just wait and dodge and avoid and watch the boss at first. I don't want to fight a boss like that. If there's a boss mocking me in a castle, I want to go in and jab him now, or like you said, climb the dragon's back and stab him. If this game let me do that, it would be a different conversation we'd be having, but then it wouldn't be a Dark Souls game, do you know what I mean? This is very, very Soulsborne at its core. Like, it's just took those elements, refined them really well, put it into an open world and gave you a jump button. Like, I don't even care that you can't pause. I don't even care that you die so much. Like, that's not a problem to me. The problem is just the fucking sheer... I don't have the will to do this again. Like, I've been to these swamps. I don't want to have to fucking fight that guy, or I don't want to run away from him. That's my problem in games. I don't want to run away. Like, and it's like, I know I need to level up. Sometimes I'll accept that, but see, when it's standard enemies, I don't want to constantly have to be on my guard just when I'm going to a place because, I went to the fucking camp. Sometimes I've done it by accident. I didn't even need to save and I've just automatically seen a grace point, went to it, and if you touch it, you're fine. It's only if you rest at it, and I'll automatically rest. I'm like, I need to go back over that bridge, and those 3 guys and the horses are there again. I am not in the mood to fucking run away from them. I'm not playing. And that's how I play these games. I'm like, do you know what, that's annoyed me. So, like I said, I'm not saying I'm good at the game. I don't think I'm very good at any of the games. I think the reason I don't enjoy them is for that they are like, I want to see what's in your world and I want story. Okay, you don't have story to give me, let me explore it. Like, it's fine having difficult enemies, but see this, I'm having to fucking just like even down the corner of the beach that I was exploring like last week, and it's like, why are these fucking goblins back again? Like, that's the way that I see it. They're just annoying rather than difficult, and it's like, oh, I beat you and I was going to go there. If I'd known that you were going to come back out, and I forget every time, it's like I would have just went straight there because I've had to use up one of my health flasks, and I know there's a bigger boss up there. Like, there's one of those, I can't remember what they're called, the like wraiths or whatever. I'm like, I want to fight him, and you've just fucking annoyed me, so I have to go back to the grace point. When I do that, you're going to be back, and like, yeah, it's just, I'm not doing that again. So, like I said, it's not that I'm quitting the game because of frustration from not being good. I'm not good at it. I knew I wasn't good at it going in. Yes, I beat Margaret, but at the same time, it's like, I don't care. I don't care enough like that I beat Margaret. I don't have enough motivation to continue. Nice enough world, but to me it's empty when there's no story. Like, that's the way I see it. I'm not saying it's a bad game. That's me being as negative as I can be about the game. It plays fine. It's probably, I prefer the combat in it to most of the other Souls game, every other Souls game in fact. And the movement, like you said, the horse, when I can get it to work, this is more of me. It's not the game, it's me. It's not you, it's me. That's but, you seem to understand my points for a change, because usually you're arguing against every single one of them, but this is me justifying why I don't like it, rather than just saying it sucks. I'm telling you, I suck at it. I had some fun, but then I just get to a point, and like, I'm at least 8 hours in the game. It's not like I played it for 20 minutes, went, oh, I can't, it's too hard, I've quit. It's like, I've beat at least a boss, I've explored a load of the areas, and it's like, I'm tired of it. I'm like, like, the only reason I'm playing Assassin's Creed being an open, you know what, I like, the open world games I don't have fucking time for. Breath of the Wild is a complete exception to every rule, but like, see with this, it's like, I don't have time. I guarantee I'll play Starfield and go, I don't have fucking time for you.
Probably, yeah.
I will. I know I will. And it's just, this is the stage I'm at in my gaming career, is open world games like this especially. And I think it's fucking cool. See me 10 years ago, I'd have been all over this, because like your map starts like that, but they trick you because the screen looks as if, see this box here, it looks like this is your whole map. Yeah. Then it goes wider and it zooms out and it zooms out, and it's like, oh my goodness, I've not seen a complete map at all. I've seen Andy's, I've seen mine, and I'm like, I can't believe how big this is. And I think as well, I'm more a sucker for it. I don't like tutorials, I don't like hand-holding too much. Like, I love Breath of the Wild for it, but Breath of the Wild, it was kind of more obvious in what you needed to do, and yes, I'm comparing it to that because it is similar to that in its styles. This doesn't make, like Andy said about the grace points, and like I said about finding map, it doesn't make anything easy. Like, no. And I don't mean as in difficult, I'm talking frustrating, whereas like, I need a fucking map, I need to see this area, and it's like, no, get one. It's like, that's just being a dick. That's not even being difficult, because I can traverse this area. It just, to me, it feels nicer when you get that map to see that area, and it's not like it's not like the map fucking highlights and makes anything like, oh, look at this, this is where you definitely need to go. It doesn't do that. So it's not as if it's making it particularly easier. Why can't I just buy it off of Santa? But anyway, all those reasons are basically why I'm like, I'm going to give it another shot at the weekend, and if I don't like it, I'm not wasting my time on it. I know you said waste of time, and I know I was wasting my time in Final Fantasy. I'll talk about that briefly, not get too much to say about it, but like, I love Final Fantasy, you love Final Fantasy, and I know I don't buy every Final Fantasy, and this is my branch into it, but like, I played the beta for whatever the stupid, it's got the most stupid name ever. Basically, it's a prequel to Final Fantasy 1, and everyone's calling it a Souls game. It's not a Souls game, it's not hard. It's more in line with Devil May Cry on normal. Like, it's got a challenge, but when you die, the only thing that you lose is your magic points, because basically it's like in Assassin's Creed, I'll go back to that. See, when you kill things in Assassin's Creed, you get your action points or your rage points, you build them up as you kill. The only thing you lose in this game, you don't lose like souls or anything like that.
Okay.
You die. I've died in the game, I would admit. I died a couple of times at the bosses, because the demo, it gives you 3 bosses, 3 areas, 4 areas really, because you get the starting area, 4 bosses. It's not open world, it's more size wise like a Devil May Cry game. It's enclosed, it's fine not to be open world, by the way, and it's a prequel to Final Fantasy 1, which was a game I never played. It's boring, there's little story in it, and that game's a case of there's 4 heroes of light and they save the day. Well, this game is kind of the build up to who the Heroes of Light actually were that are in that game, and it's kind of set more with Final Fantasy 15 stylings of the edgy cool guys. And the internet went crazy, like calling this game, oh, it's Chaos. He always says Chaos.
He does.
He doesn't
He
though.
says
Like,
Chaos all the time.
I've played 4 hours of this game, and it's not wasted because the demo progress will transfer.
He said Chaos 400 times.
He's said Chaos 3 times, and the reason he said Chaos is because that's the name of the boss. That's the guy that's the main bad guy for the game. He's called Chaos, which is
fucking
fine.
It's dumb as fuck, man.
We played a game, Sonic the Hedgehog, and there was a bad guy in it called Shadow.
Yeah,
we didn't complain. So anyway, this fucking stupid. Are you kidding me? Elden Ring, look, do this quest for me. Have a chicken toe. Fuck off. Like, that's stupid. So like in this game, you have to fight Chaos. He says his name 3 times. They talk about Chaos. When he sees Chaos, he says it.
He says, "Let's kill Chaos."
He doesn't say that. But what I will say is this game is tongue in cheek. Like at the tutorial bit at the start where it's teaching you action, because this is different from every other Final Fantasy, including 15 and 7 that were more action RPG.
Yeah.
It plays Frank Sinatra's My Way, like, which is weird to hear licensed songs in these games. And I just went,
no, they had it. They had it in 15.
Oh, you're right, they did.
When they were pushing the car at the beginning,
You're right.
they had the song. I forget the song it was, but they did have the song.
It was a famous song, and it made sense at that point. So I did it my way, kind of makes sense. But right, anyway, so it plays that randomly. And it's cheesy as fuck. It's typical Japanese, like, Final Fantasy at its Japaneseiest. And
Stand By Me it was. That's what it was.
Stand By Me it was, yeah. And the one thing is, it is disappointing graphically. I don't think it's horrible. I've seen screenshots, but that's PS4 version. But your problem with the game on PS5 is that the graphics, even on PS5, look like a PS4 game. It feels like you're playing an older game that's not been... It's not got a next-gen patch yet. So... And I'll put Elden Ring in a pedestal above this because, like, even though I've just complained about open worlds, it feels really enclosed in comparison. Like, you're limited in options. It's like, this is the area. Final Fantasy is like that.
Yeah, totally.
So it's like, this is your area, you work your way to the boss, and instead of, like, random battles with, like, your fight magics item, it's like you're actually full-on action. I kind of like the main guy, Jack. Like, there was the second, I don't know if he was the boss or he was the guy just introduced in the boss sort of thing, and he came off the throne and he was like, us paupers, and he started about to go into the backstory of the type of people he was. I don't know if he was like a jester, and Jack just went, I don't give a fuck who you are, let's fight. That's the sort of game it is, and I'm like, I did not expect him to say that, especially not in Final Fantasy, but he swears at him and says, I don't give a fuck who you are, let's fight. Just as this guy's about to go into his typical, I'm the villain speech, and here's why I'm doing it. Yeah. The main character just goes, I don't give a... He actually says those words, I don't give a fuck who you are, let's fight. That's it. And then you end up getting the 5th... There's actually 5 of you, right? And I kind of get a feeling there's a twist that you're actually the bad guy. But
okay.
I might be wrong, but like that's my opinion on it, because his second name is the same name as the main bad guy in Final Fantasy 1.
Right. Okay.
So that would be cool if they twist it that way, but to me it's like, how are you going to get from this to that? You're edgy, but like you're not evil. So basically, you've got 2 friends, and your whole thing is you've been fighting. It comes up with like a paragraph, like you wanted to fight him, and basically you get told you couldn't fight him until you proved yourself because the king's looking for the 4 heroes of light.
Okay.
So basically, once you beat a boss, it turns out it was a girl, and she wakes up and tries to tell a story, and like the camera goes to Jack, and it just goes quiet for a bit. And he goes, bullshit, and walks away. In fact, no, he doesn't walk away. He gets better. So he says bullshit, right? And I'm like, this is quality. He's my sort of guy. So after that, what he does is he pushes play on music on his phone, and it's fucking. This is not made up. It's Limp Bizkit, and he puts it. He puts it on loud and just walks away from him. Just walks away with his music playing. Like this girl tells him the story. So he's
what Limp Bizkit song is it?
It might be one of the newer ones. It's not off a $3 bill or Significant Other. Those are the only two albums I really know. Oh, but I do know Chocolate Starfish a wee bit.
Chocolate Starfish, yeah.
Limp Bizkit, Final Fantasy song.
That's very weird. Like that being in there.
It could be what Limp Bizkit song. Doesn't it just keeps coming up saying it wasn't My Way. Unless it was and it was a part of it I didn't recognise, and that's kind of like Frank Sinatra My Way at the start and then
Oh,
Way,
yeah.
Way.
No, that makes sense. Yeah. No, that actually does make sense. Yeah. Cool. I like that more. Game is of more interest to me now that it has that in it.
Butt Rock. Stranger of Paradise confirms that Butt Rock is part of Final Fantasy canon. Don't be surprised if you see Jack Garland. See, his name's Garland, and Garland was the bad guy in Final Fantasy 1.
Yeah.
Stranger of Paradise.
Garland was in Final Fantasy 9 as well, should not?
It's a guy in one.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've reused names, obviously, and repurposed them. I can't see that. Right, so I don't know what song it is, but yeah. Anyway, basically,
yeah, you're gonna play the game anyway, like so.
So I actually found it great. I found it for £46 on like base.com, and I don't care if it comes launch day, so I'll get that one. But yeah, I've seen that. Like, I'm just playing it normal, by the way, and I haven't found it hard. There is a story mode for it, and there is like an action mode, which is their hard mode. I'm just playing it on normal, and it's fine. I have died a couple times at bosses, but it's fun to be. It's something different. It's like this is what I mean. Like, Elden Ring's a bit more serious than this. Like, even in tone, I know it's set in a world where like naked junkie Santa's selling you stuff, but at the same time, it's more of a Lord of the Rings than, I don't know, Thor Ragnarok in fantasy, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, Final Fantasy, I will always try a Final Fantasy, and this being a cool idea, and the reason that I hope a lot of people buy it, and I think people will buy it because of the name, because it's Final Fantasy. I want them to do this, but on Final Fantasy IV, which was my favourite. I want a Final Fantasy IV origin story with Cecil when he was part of the Red Wings, because I love Final Fantasy IV, as you know. And
okay.
I think in this style that would be really fucking awesome. So this is more the guys. I read an interview and the guy was basically comparing it more to like Final Fantasy VII remake, and I'm not saying that to get about. In the way that 7 remake, yes, it's Final Fantasy VII, but it's a retelling of the story. So this is basically an origin of Final Fantasy 1, but it's got some changes. Not, I think Final Fantasy 1 had much story. It was like 4 heroes of light, go and fight, the end. So I think it's fine. I don't think it's the prettiest game. It's not as pretty as Elden Ring by any means at all, but the review scores, some NME, the music guys, gave it 1 out of 5, but like the average kind of score for it is like 73 upwards.
Yeah.
The highest I've seen is about 85. But I mean, that's kind of what I expected. I think Metacritic, the last I checked, it was 73. So like, I'm not basing it on reviews. I tried the beta for this. It was fine. I've tried the demo now. I played 4 hours of it, and the progress goes to the main game, and I'm like, yeah, this is cool. And do you know why I knew that I had to get it? Because the demo was the final selling point. When it came up, says you've done everything that we have to offer. Please purchase the full game. And I'm like, I want to play more and I can't, so I want to buy this game. So like the reviews that I've seen kind of have said what I've said, that it's tongue in cheek and it's right in all the wrong ways. We know we shouldn't like Final Fantasy Origin, but we do. Like those are fine. Like, I know there's some reviews that are just like, this is fucking terrible, but if you read a lot of these guys, these are the same guys that are big Souls fans, and they've just leaned into the fact that they've marketed this as a Souls-like game, when I would say it's just Final Fantasy went from RPG to action RPG, and this is just took away the RPG element of it, is what I would describe. It's not a Souls game. It's not tough. It's not balls to the wall, figure out the enemy pattern. It's like you've got a boss as standard in Final Fantasy. It's like you've got to fight the boss. You've got jobs. So like the good thing about this is like, so you're talking about respecing and stuff in Elden Ring and becoming a magician, right? So at the start you can choose who's in your party out of the other 4 characters, or other 3 characters at the moment, and so you can have like dagger guy. I don't know the right names. You can have like tank guy, So I've chose that I'm the sword and the Black Knight. So see, at any point, there's no delay. You just push triangle, you swap into your outfit, and I can all of a sudden do spells. So what I tend to do at the bosses is go into my fat. And the cool thing is, the way magic works here is you hold R2 and a wheel comes up, and you use the right stick while you're holding R2 to select water, fire, lightning, whatever, right? But you know how you've got water, and then Waterga, the strongest?
Yeah.
So you hold it, and it starts ticking round the circle. And if you get halfway, it changes the power of the spell. If you can hold it to the end without taking a hit, it throws out the most powerful version of the spell. But if you get hit,
it takes longer and you get interrupted.
Yeah, so if you get interrupted, you just throw out water. And I'm like, this is quite cool. And obviously, it's got all the Final Fantasy, like your potions, your spells, blah, blah. The one thing that I'll say is you don't need to worry about your equipment. I started trying to customise it and going, right, so I'm going to have this, I'm adjusting this. What I realised is it gives you an option in the menu screen of optimise equipment. That'll do me. That'll do me. I don't really care because you find that much equipment in this game that it's almost throwaway to the point of I don't care what it is, just give me the strongest and best one. The only time I'll ever...
Like Avengers?
No, because Avengers doesn't do it the right... Avengers messes that up so badly that you have to physically go in and change your weapons to better ones because it will just go, oh, it's higher. It's like, yeah, but it doesn't... It's not going to be effective for this. So Avengers don't do it in that, but in this it's absolutely fine. So like, because I found in the third level it was starting to get harder. What I was doing is a white mage would be good. So in your job trees you can open up like you know your Final Fantasy jobs like your warrior, your guardian, your knight, your mage. I need to get white knight, is it, or black mage? White mage unlocked so that somebody can be a healer. But yeah, I love it. See the fact that the guy was trying to, just the 2 points that the gameplay's fine. It's not end to say it's not going to be game of the year by any means, but like I'm going to enjoy this game. But it's the fact that the guy's telling me his big story and he just went, I don't give a fuck who you are. And then like when the girl finished telling the story and he's just standing in the steps with blatantly I don't give a shit look and just goes bullshit. Puts Limp Bizkit on his phone and walks out the church. I'm like, that's amazing.
Funny.
So yeah, it is aware of what it's doing. That's what I meant the other day when I was telling you that it's very tongue in cheek. It's aware. It's self-aware. That's the right word. It's not self-referential. It's self-aware because the stories. People saying the story is stupid. It's like, have you played Final Fantasy before? There's always a big bad guy, and you always have to go and help.
I think it's the chaos thing.
But that's Andy. That's not you making your own mind up.
It's just cheesy though. It's just cheesy.
There's nothing wrong with a bad guy called Chaos. He's not actually called Chaos because
it's not. It's not what the guy's called. It's the way the fucking guy delivers the line. Like it's so cheesy. I must kill Chaos. Whatever he says, like it's so fucking cheesy.
Yeah, but that's when he's shouting at the king. It's been taken out of context in all the clips. So you're saying it's cheesy, but you're doing what all the wee fanboys do and base it on the internet. Like, stop being that guy.
I watched the trailer. I had no interest in it from day one.
You haven't tried it. That's the difference. No. All I'm saying is, I would recommend
okay.
Try it.
I'll try it. I'll try it.
Demo's free. Try the demo. I wish I'd said to you for
try
this
the demo.
You'll probably not like it. I'm fully aware, but I would rather you just tried it. But the other thing that we'll need to try for next week that I'm interested in seeing, and this is the last of the show before we finish up. Grand Theft Auto Online's free for PlayStation just now, PS5.
Yeah.
Right? You can buy the campaign for £8.75. Do you know it's 20 quid? Which isn't bad, but if you want to buy both, because you have to pay for both on Xbox, it's £20. So, £8.75, if you've never played Grand Theft Auto 5, just pay that, because GT Online's free, as long as you download it just now. I think you've got a couple of months, and then they're going to charge you for it. But I was like, I dip in and out of GTA when it takes the notion, but I'm not too excited. And then I read something did make me excited. 60 FPS in performance, fine, sold. And then it said, not cross-platform, and I'm like, So you're doing something better here, is what you're telling me? That's not going to work with PS4. Okay, I'm going to give it a shot to see what if you've done. I don't expect miraculous changes, but see, even if the shooting feels slightly faster, or like the loading's even better, or anything,
it should be better. Yeah, that'll be what it is. Like they won't be able to do it with the last gen because the last gen you'd be sitting waiting for them,
and they're locked in 30 FPS, so it wouldn't be fair if you were fighting. But I want to see if it plays any better, because, and I mean, it's like I said, it's free just now, and if you decide to start as a new character instead of transferring, there's a new thing called the fast track mode, and it doesn't cost you anything, but they give your in-game character 4 million, which is quite generous in-game, so you can start your own businesses right away, which is nice of them to do. And every month up until launch, they gave you 1 million in-game money for free, and I tried to redeem that as much as I could remember, because it was almost a year that they did that for. So if you'd been, I don't know how you would man. No, you can't. So you could have that money, or if you start a brand new game, you would have 4 million in your bank. So everybody can start straight away buying the businesses up and stuff. But I'm just interested to see how it plays. Like, I know what GTA Online is. I'm not expecting them to have done anything. I know they've added Dr. Dre missions and stuff. I just want to see how it physically plays. Like, does the driving feel better? Like, does it actually look nicer? I'm sure it will slightly, but again, this is a game that next year's 10 years old, Andy. And GTA 6 is nowhere to be seen, man. Like, we will be lucky to see that game. I think the first time we see GTA 6 is 2024, man. And I just mean as in maybe a title review. What's your prediction in GTA 6 before we finish up? I think 2024 we might see a title.
Yeah, we'll probably see. I mean, they've said they're working on it this year. So next year we might see the title. And then 2024 we'll see the first trailer.
And then 2025
it will come out, yeah.
Yeah, I agree, because see, when you consider back that this is a game that came out 10 years ago, Andy, and you'll remember GTA 5 Online's world. The world's inhabited as fuck, man. There's people going about the business, like you can transfer between your characters, like Trevor, you're online by just pushing the button. And all the random things that Trevor could wake up in the mountain and stuff. That was 10 years ago they made this work. Two generations of console ago. So if you can think if they were doing that 10 years ago, which is above and beyond games that are coming out these days, what the fuck are they wanting to put in GTA 6? So yeah, it's at least 2-3 years away now. But anyway, thank you very much for listening to our inane ramblings about Elden Ring, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and then finishing off with Final Fantasy Limp Bizkit and GTA Online. We will catch you next week. Leave us a comment below if you have beat every enemy in Dark Souls, if you've wandered about the lands alone or any of the Souls games. I want to know that. I'm going to look it up anyway, but let us know if you've done it. Again, like, subscribe, all these things if you do. And if you've made it this far, thank you very much. We'll see you again next week. Bye.